agrees with and types something that
Uh,
I don't agree with, but just gonna, oh, look at this, whatever, and it gets put to everybody's FYP.
Yeah, but oh, look at this. It's only plausible deniability if there's enough obfuscation. Like, if he were to do that with a bunch of random stuff, then
It's
people would be like, oh, crazy. Like,
I
there is
still
no
find
plausible
it.
deniability around the guy who is part of Donald Trump's cabinet. Like, everybody knows what his political beliefs are. Everybody knows what he thinks. Like, he talks about saving white South Africans. He openly supports the AFD in Germany. Like, there is no confusion or ambiguity here.
Yeah, I mean, uh, one of my viewers sent me a Elon Musk and interesting as a quote on the search bar, and there's a bunch of shit. It's just
Yeah, but it all points in one direction. There's no ambiguity there.
yeah, but
It's not even a dog whistle. It's just he's just making it obvious like what his political beliefs are. Like, it's very obvious.
okay, okay. So if somebody point blank were to ask him, are you this, right? Are you anti multiculturalism? Are you and whatever, right? Or are you racist? I mean, if it was
No,
so
they don't say racist, but he would say something like, "Well, I just think that the DEI is well, I just don't think it's a good way to do things." He would say some shit like that, like he would just talk about those
so
things, like
so
DEI
so
and ESG and all the other shit.
some plausible deniability shit then.
Plausible deniability, like maybe of the absolute, like of just calling somebody a racist. But you understand that like even racist people don't necessarily see themselves as like racist,
Yeah, but
right?
that still falls under plausible deniability. Is why I said it. That still falls under that action.
People who are like neo-Nazis or whatever, some like won't necessarily like people who are white separatists won't say things like I'm racist. Sometimes they'll say things like I think that races are I'm actually less racist than a multicultural person because I think that every race deserves
And
their own country to thrive and grow and have their
okay,
own beautiful cultures that aren't all being erased by
yeah,
whatever the white people are doing
I
in the United States.
understand,
And those
Steven.
people won't consent. But if somebody says I'm a white separatist and I want a different country, would XQC say, oh well, that person's doing plausible deniability? Why? Because he's not calling himself racist. What? He's not denying anything. He just doesn't agree with the label.
Well, that falls under plausible deniability. Yeah, exactly.
So can you give me an example of a person who doesn't have? Because at that point, every single thing is plausible deniability.
No, it's not.
Every single thing where you don't say I am X counts as plausible deniability.
Okay, it's not because you don't perceive it as that it is not the action at its root. Like, if somebody does something, right, in their own POV, the way they do it, they're engaging in plausible deniability on a daily. It's what they do, right? It's not because you don't view it that way that people don't view it that way themselves. Like, it's what they're doing. I don't know why like. Then in your case, then you, Steven, nothing's plausible deniability then because you know everything because you're educated and you're what informed about a lot of topics and nobody can ever slip through the cracks of plausible deniability because you got them. You know better. Well, it's still plausible deniability.
I think you're no. You're just. I think you're working with a different definition of plausible deniability than other people are. Like when you do plausible deniability, the goal is to make it so that if somebody accuses you of believing a certain thing, you can say like, oh no, like no, not really. Like let's say there's a guy that I really want to support because he's like a fucking a Nazi creator or a communist, a tanky creator, and I look at his stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna promote his, but like I don't want it to be obvious, so I'm gonna find like 3 other people and promote them as well who have like different political beliefs, and then I promote all 4 of these people. I have plausible deniability. But if I support 4 people who are all tankies, and I support all 4 of them, and you're like, wait, are you a tanky? And I go, no, I just support these guys, and they might happen to be tankies. That's not plausible deniability at that point. You're not trying to be ambiguous. You're not even trying to hide it.
Yes, but in that case, you're still taking a stand. You just said, I'm supporting it. That is what you would find to be. That's pretty cemented. You're solidified.
What do you think Elon Musk is doing when he's retweeting people on a platform when he's unlocked it so that you can earn money for how much exposure
That's what
you're getting
plausible
your tweets?
deniability is. He's not cemented. He's not stuck in that stance. He can still wiggle out of it. That's what's plausible.
Okay, I'm curious.
He can wiggle out of it.
Interesting. You get a ton of stuff that said
Wiggle out of it.
If we were to choose 15 of these at random, how many of these would be right-wing versus left-wing beliefs? What do you think?
Your view, you catching him onto that, doesn't mean that if that's not what he's doing.
If he was trying to plausible deny, what is he trying to have plausible deniability for?
Okay, let me. something that
So, like, for instance, if I were to support one tanky and three ordinary content creators, and really I just want to support the tanky guy, my plausible deniability, what I'm trying to hide there is the fact that I support tankies, right? And I'm doing it by supporting three other dudes.
okay.
So the plausible deniability, that's what I'm trying to. What is Elon trying to hide by exclusively quote tweeting the same type of content
He
over
has
and over and over again?
he has a lot more extreme views than he portrays himself to be, right? And by quote tweeting interesting on pretty decently radicalized ideologies or tweets or things that are kind of malignant or malicious, right? He can kind of propel those thoughts and shit like that without taking a hard stance and without being stuck onto those ideologies himself. How hard is that to understand it? He can wiggle out of it anytime he wants to.
Okay, I'm just curious. If I were to grant this entire thing, then wouldn't we go back to the original Nazi salute and say that he absolutely was doing that intentionally then? If his whole goal is to be doing plausible deniability, then he probably is a Nazi and he was doing this
because you
literally
missed.
because he is a Nazi.
Because there again, you misconstrued what I said. When I said plausible, if the goal was to plausible deniability that he does,
Long neck.
right? He wouldn't have done it twice the same way.
Couldn't he just say that he thought he was doing, but when he said I was just doing it as a heart salute, isn't that him trying to do the plausible deniability, kind of like quote tweeting far right propaganda and saying interesting 50 million times?
Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna give you an argument then. Let's say I'm in some fucking game, okay, and by accident, oh my god, some guy kills me, and I call him the N-word by accident. And quickly, I need to think about something. What could I do possibly to wiggle out of it? Maybe I'm gonna say I'm gonna throw another insult, but it's not the N-word. It's really close to it. It's like noob. Oh my god, that's really close. It kind of sounds like it. So now I can say, go guys, look, the first time I was trying to say what I said on the second time, guys. Guys, that would be plausible deniability, right? If you were going to do that like he does all the time, you wouldn't do it twice the correct way. That would be like a fucking PewDiePie went on the bridge and just said it once and guys, what I'm going to say is, and says it again.
Okay, true. But this would be like calling someone the N-word, and then somebody's like, wait, what'd you say? And then you say, oh, I called him the, and then you just say the N-word again.
Like, yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh,
exactly.
I'm sorry, that means something else.
It's why by intention.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no, I understand. But now my question is, in the history of all of your entire life, have you ever heard of anybody doing this ever?
Most of what he does in history, you can't find somebody doing that shit, let's be honest.
No, I can think of plenty of. Here, I can give a. You know what? I can give an example. I've done this, and I bet almost every single person in your chat has done this. I give an example in the same vein that almost every person. Okay, you ever in a chair, either in a classroom or in an office or some bullshit, and you think you can let one loose quietly, and it ends up being a loud fart, and then after you do it, you like move your chair a little bit to be like, oh look, it's just the chair moving. Ha ha ha. Everybody's done this at least once. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's okay. Nobody has Nazi saluted twice. Nobody has said the N-word twice to mistake or to cover up the first N-word.
Yeah, because if the intention wasn't to do it, right, then they wouldn't have to do that. If the intention wasn't to do the salute, and it looked like it, then doing it twice makes sense.
So the intention was to do the salute?
No. If the intention wasn't to do it, then it makes sense to do it twice.
Okay. I mean, this is unbeatable logic.
Because you view as a salute, and he doesn't. So doing it twice when it doesn't compute as doing something bad, so it does it twice. To truly understand the argument, you have to put yourself in the shoes where, let's say, you didn't know, U.S. Steven, that in the United States, inside the N-word, you can't say that. And you go into a store, and you said it, and people say, whoa, what'd you say? What would you do? You would probably say it again, right?
Yeah, there's a Jackie Chan scene in Rush Hour. What's up? And the guy at the bar, remember?
So, if you had no idea that the N-word was a bad word, you had no idea. For you, you thought it meant, I don't know, bread. Because you're from Europe. You come to the United States, and you go into a store and says, hey guys, I would like to have one, and then you just ripped it off. And people went, whoa, wait, a what? What would you do then? You would probably say it again, right?
Yeah, I understand. I agree with you. And let's say that did happen in real life, right? Would you assume that the guy, maybe he just didn't know?
Yeah.
Now, what if that same guy came in and he had a white power tattoo across his neck? He was wearing a Ku
Alright.
Klux Klan head. You knew that he controlled the
Alright.
largest social media platform in the world that was starting to machine gun fire out Nazi propaganda. He was supporting people, a party that people call the far right authoritarian party in Germany, the AfD. He was constantly platforming some of like the most far right content ever, and a lot of people. And he was part of a political party and supporting a candidate who was accused of supporting anti-Semitic neo-Nazis, and that guy did it. Would you have the same assumption?
No, 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 I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But I had to be honest with you. I just don't see it. I I think that this guy is not that he's good at it, but he usually at least covers himself in a way that he thinks he'll get away with it. I
You
I
understand
I
that this
don't
guy was
see him.
stupid enough. You understand this guy was stupid enough to try to explain his Path of Exile gear on stream to fake his cheating, right? The guy's probably just fucking retarded.
Well, that's just Dunning Kruger. I mean, let's give it a buck. That's like ultra Dunning Kruger.
Okay, so maybe he thought it was just kind of funny and epic that he could Nazi salute twice and get away with it. No, is that not possible?
I like I said, I don't see it.
What is there? What would possibly make you see it? Is there any? What would change your mind on this?
Uh,
Nothing.
I mean, almost anything really. Almost anything. Legitimately, almost anything more that happened before or after would give it to me. Yeah, I just don't see it.
Almost any. Okay, so double tapping the Nazi salute, no, but almost anything. Almost. What does almost anything
No,
else
no, no.
mean?
Anything to back up the behavior. Like almost anything that would reinforce that. Oh yeah. That would yeah, anything that would reinforce that.
I mean, like nobody even wants to work with the AfD party in Germany because that party is so far right, and Elon Musk like openly supports it as hard as he possibly can. This fucking retard doesn't even know U.S. politics, let alone German politics. That's not like a little bit
I don't know
weird?
what RFD is. I know what that is.
The AfD is it's the far right. Some people argue it's the fucking neo-Nazi party. It's probably a little bit too far, but in Germany, but like it is the far right party in Germany that people hate so fucking much. Like nobody even wants to form a government with them. Everybody hates his party. It's the super far right party in Germany, and he like openly and avowedly supports it for like who the fuck knows what reason. It's super weird.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, but I don't know what the validity of that, the introduction of that here.
Um,
I don't know what was the validity of that. Like, how do you link that with this? I don't
How
get
do
it.
I link Germany, the country that's known for Nazis? How do I link the far right populist National Conservative Party that they have right now and the fact that Elon Musk supports it? How do I link that to doing a Nazi salute? Is that what you're asking me?
I mean, like I said, you're asking me to make assumptions. You're asking me to make like an immediate like
Well, no,
to,
wait,
to,
wait,
to
just be clear,
convict them
hold on,
to convict these guys to being Nazis off the rip. I mean, I don't know.
I never said I'm trying to convince you to be Nazis. I'm not asking you to make assumptions. You're asking me to do a Mr. Beast obstacle course for why a double tap Nazi salute wasn't actually that. You're the one who's asking people to make assumptions, right? Because he clearly did. He said the N-word twice, and now you're saying, well, this is why he didn't know what it meant. Right? This guy who's the wealthiest person on the planet, who was partners with the most powerful person on the planet now, right? Who won the election, who campaigned in the United States and supports far-right parties all over the planet, and is now on the platform that is more anti-Semitism and more neo-Nazi content than any other platform on the planet, doesn't know what the Hitler salute looks like. And you're telling me, hold on, you've got to understand why the double tap Nazi salute wasn't actually that. I'm not the one making assumptions.
Okay, like I said, I feel like even at his stage, that I feel like he is dumb. He is irresponsible, dumb, outright offensive at times. I gotta keep it a buck. Out of all of his behaviors, that seems to me like an all in that he never commits that far onto anything. I think that's like all inning. I just don't see him doing that.
You don't see. He literally went to Wisconsin and dumped $30 million into the election and then danced around on stage like a retard. The guy goes out on stage with a chainsaw. The guy went all in on Doge and found fucking nothing, taking his whole reputation on it.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I
like,
think these
goes all in on
stances,
stupid shit all the time.
these stances don't cook you as hard as that would, because
His stance don't. This guy has lost more value as an individual out of a company than the entire GDP of some countries because of how unpopular and stupid his political positions are in the course of a few months.
Yes,
I mean, what else can you look at?
I understand, but talking about somebody's downfall as somebody who didn't build a single brick in this guy's the wall that he's built is just it's out of nowhere. I don't.
What do you mean out of nowhere? You don't think Hitler built any walls? I mean, what do you mean?
I'm just saying.
And good things at the same time. You're just saying somebody
that acquired fucking oceans of money. I think that you come in and say, oh look, he lost that much. Is of any value to this argument? It's just stupid. I don't think you know any better.
Hold on. I'm countering the argument that you said of I don't think he would ever go all in on something so dumb. And I can show you that he has clearly acted in incredibly stupid ways. He's done dumber things. If anything, I could just say Dunning-Kruger, like you said earlier, about his Path of Exile stuff, which was cringe and weird.
I think if he did a legitimate Nazi salute and he took the time to actually do the whole gesture correctly, I'm telling you, it would probably be more damaging than most that he's done in the last 3 years combined.
But he wouldn't, because people like you would say, well, look, he only did it once. He probably made the same mistake he did before.
Well, I mean, I disagree, because if you think about Ye, think about Ye, think about it for a minute. He had a bunch of plausible deniability shit in the past. He had a bunch of, oh no, I didn't mean that, whatever, and he was kind of navigating that line, right? And he wasn't losing much. Let's keep it about. A lot of his album releases were pretty good, right? Like they hit the charts. They were still being endorsed. Stayed on Spotify. He was still doing fantastic. But the minute that he actually said, no, that's what I mean, I'm that bad, I'm doing all of this, now he's completely cooked. The same way with Elon. He knows that he actually said, yeah, that's what I'm doing that. He would lose a lot more than him gliding that line of, no, that's not what I mean. That's what I mean. And you refusing to understand that is it's outrageous. I don't know what to tell you.
Kanye West has a mental illness. If your standard for Elon Musk's behavior is supposed to match up to a guy who is severely autistic and most likely has bipolar personality disorder, if that's your standard for behavior, fine. But I don't want to ever hear you cite Elon as a serious figure ever. If this is the amount of charitability you're going to grant this guy, and you're going to compare him to a retarded bipolar guy whose mind was destroyed by Pete Davidson's cock, then I don't know why you would cite Elon as being an intelligent figure for literally anything. You couldn't trust a single thing that he said. I don't know why you would even.
I'm not gonna do some cringe fucking like bullshit armchair psychologist, like anti fucking Goldwater standard fucking motherfucker.
That's exactly what you're doing.
No,
you're doing that.
No, you are.
No, I said I see a double tap Nazi salute, and you go. Well, actually, it's not a double tap Nazi salute, because if he's going to do a double tap Nazi salute, what it's showing you is that he actually knows that he doesn't know that it's a bad thing, and that's why he did it twice. If he would have done it one time, it would have been, really bad. But the fact that he did it a second time means that he committed to the thing, and that shows that he actually didn't know what it was.
Offering you.
Both sides. Like you're saying that I'm the one doing the mental. I'm saying kind of looks like a double tap Hitler salute to me, dog.
Okay, dog. And now I'll explain it. That was just a plausible explanation on why that would be the case and why that would happen. And I would give you the same charitability. Like whenever you got banned and you came back and you said the N-word straight up, right? Remember when you did that? I didn't say, well, I think Destiny's just a racist. I didn't say that. I offered some plausible explanation on why he would do such a thing at the time.
No, stop. No. You didn't argue, though, that he didn't say the N-word. If I said the N-word, then I'm saying the N-word. I wouldn't say, oh, I thought I was speaking Russian for a second. What are you talking about?
No, the explanation. Okay, it's both different things. But the point I'm making is the same. No.
The comparison is apt. If I say, am I allowed to say the N-word here? If I say an N-word, okay, then I'm saying it. Okay, if I say an N-word, I'm saying an N-word. I'm not going to say oh, I didn't know, LOL. I'm not saying, personally, now people can have their beliefs, I personally don't think that Elon Musk is a Nazi. I think he's an edgy fucking retard. That's what I think he is. And I think he was signaling to other people, look, I'm fucking cool, I can Hitler salute. That's what I think. But it was obviously a double-barrel, double-shot Hitler salute, obviously. Like, it was... Nobody in the history. That's why, even though everybody tried to post pictures, because all they could find were pictures, nobody could find a single video of anybody outside of a Nazi rally doing that ever. Because that's what it was. It was a double-barrel Nazi salute. That's what it was.
Okay, fair enough. And is there any footage of him doing the jump with the belly out? Is there any footage of done that in the past? Doing some sideways, fucking autistic jump on stage? Anybody's done that before?
He does it, yeah.
Yeah, him. Anybody else though?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, I can find people that jump or whatever. You know why he does that, right? Do you know why he does that?
I don't know. It's the Nazi jump. It's called the Zump. Is what it is. Clearly.
No, he
No,
does
it has to be. It has to be.
He does it. He does it because he's 7 years old and because he's trying to make his body look like the letter X for the X platform. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to make an X. That's why he jumps and he puts his arms and his legs out.
Okay. That sounds fucking dumbass. That sounds
I
brainless.
sent you 4 pictures. That's literally what he's doing. Yes. You realize that this guy is obsessed with the letter X, right? He bought the domain like 30 years ago. Do you know what he calls that one kid with the weird name? You know that he calls him X, right?
Yeah,
Like he named one of his children X. He has a platform that he renamed. He took one of the best branded platforms of all time, Twitter, like a bird, and you tweet, and he renamed it to X. He has an AI company called XAI. He's got a rocket ship company called SpaceX.
Okay, yeah, but see.
The only thing that's surprised he doesn't have a thing called Tesla. I don't know why he didn't rename that company.
Okay, what I was arguing.
Oh my God! Wait a second.
What? Yes, somebody found some proof.
X? Wait, are you?
I actually.
Are you?
What? You left the call. You left the call. I don't get it. Is that a joke? You left the call. I don't get it. Was that the joke? That he was gonna say, "Is that you?" and then he leaves the call.
That's it.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep
Control.
intelligent, adaptive, effortless.
Control.
Once you replace your bed, it transforms it. Pod 5 listens and responds to your needs.
All that demands.
Temperature, elevation, and sound while you sleep. Built to give you all-night comfort with an adaptive sleep surface that fits onto any mattress to personalize temperature, so you and your partner sleep just the way you like. Pod 5 features a new hydro-powered blanket that wraps you in full
Fuck am I
body
going?
giving you double the
Go north.
coverage. No more overheating, cold wake-ups, or blanket flights. Just deep, uninterrupted sleep. Plus, a base that lifts to automatically ease snoring, shifts to zero gravity for full body restoration, and now features integrated surround sound to help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. Select how you would like to unwind, with white noise, nature sounds, or exclusive content from Dr. Andrew Huberman. And when morning comes, no jarring alarms, just warmth, a soft vibration, and gentle sounds, waking you when you're ready the way nature intended it to be. 3 elements, infinite personalizations, giving you exceptional sleep without exception. Contactless sensors in the pod track your heart rate, breathing, sleep stages, and more. And it uses artificial intelligence to go beyond just tracking. It learns from your data and optimizes your environment in real time to keep you in deep sleep for longer. The new Health Check is a breakthrough in passive preventative health. Without any wearables, the pod quietly monitors cardiovascular and respiratory health during sleep. Using clinical-grade precision, it leverages the hours that you spend on your bed to conduct a review of your health every night. Designed for anyone who won't settle for just okay sleep. This is Pod 5, the only way you should sleep.
Big ideas don't come easy. But when you get one, use that moment of clarity to create a new reality. To turn your pastime into your full time. Your personal style into your signature brand. Your homemade recipe into a household name.
But I kind of want to respond back.
I have
to
no
what you
idea
said
where I want to
earlier.
build
Like,
my
I feel
house.
like Max and Lab are just trying to absolve their responsibility for their actions and how people perceive them by giving that responsibility to Steven, right? It feels kind of obvious that's what's going on. And I understand that you're talking about like how there's like power differentials and like that.
Why
could
don't
be
you talk to me
creativity.
directly? Let's do this. Let's have this conversation. Why don't you talk to me directly and I'll respond directly?
I mean, I
It's
guess
nice to
yeah.
see
Okay, I'll
you
tell you
on
directly.
stream, Pixie.
Huh?
It's nice to see you on stream. I've seen some of your old content.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks, Sherry.
Go. Stop wasting girl time. Go. Talk.
Okay. Max, do you feel entitled to be in Destiny's stream or to have conversation with Destiny or to be able to have a say in what goes on to his subreddit?
No.
No.
I have
Okay.
no. I have boundaries around it though. If I'm part of the community, I'm part of the stream, and I think to a large degree I am. Then I have needs and wants that I am going to express, and if they are not met, then yeah, I will declare war. We'll have conflict, and then if the conflict doesn't go my way, then I don't know. I mean, like I don't expect Steven to just immediately agree with what I'm saying, especially if I'm saying it in public. But no, I don't feel entitled to be on his stream. Absolutely not, or even to be in his subreddit now.
Okay, I think
But it's a if-then statement. Like, if we're going to be collaborators, if we're going to work together, if I'm going to be on his stream, if we're going to be friends, like I can be friends with Steven even if he's like professionally shitty to me. Like that doesn't matter. But it hurts more. It does make me feel like, well, what the we're friends and I'm banned from your subreddit and you're not going to unban me. Like, what the is your problem? Like it pisses me off. But no, I don't feel entitled now.
But, okay, this is funny because you're saying you don't feel entitled, but you are displaying signs of entitlement, right? You are saying, oh, I expect to be treated this certain way and I want to be treated a certain way. And that is a level of entitlement. You expect
it's like a workplace. Like if I work at Walmart, I expect to not be sexually harassed. That doesn't mean I feel entitled to work at Walmart.
But Destiny isn't your boss at the end of the day. You assign that responsibility to him right now, but he, at the end of the day, he's not the one who's actually sending you paychecks. Your own community is. So it's extremely unfair that you're deciding that Destiny has that.
That's somewhat true, but that's somewhat true. But it's also true that Steven controls my exposure, especially now that I'm banned from YouTube. He controls my exposure and income to a pretty big degree, and I don't have that kind of control over his exposure or income really at all. So that's why I'm using the word boss. So again, to bring it back to the question you just asked me, I don't want to sound like I'm doing a looping Mr. Girl thing where I'm explaining the same thing. So as soon as you understand this, please just let me know. I'm not entitled to work at Walmart, but if I do work at Walmart, I expect to be treated a certain way, or I'm going to complain or stop working at Walmart.
Okay, I guess this is what I think is funny. Or not funny is the wrong way to put it. Odd, strange, whatever.
Okay.
Did Steven ever ask you for him to be your boss?
No.
No, right. So you basically decided Steven is your boss, or you put yourself in a position where he is greatly influencing your income or your exposure, et cetera, et cetera. So this is more like if you decided one day to be an employee at Walmart despite Walmart never hiring you, and then getting upset that Walmart is not treating you the way that you want to be treated, even though they never hired you.
How long has this been going? Jesus Christ.
Holy base.
About 3 minutes. Welcome. I think that while it's true that Orbiter and Streamer, this relationship is formed organically and there's no official hiring process, I still maintain that the relationship does exist. There is a term for it, Orbiter. We all know what that means. I'm saying boss being somebody's orbiter is a form of working for them, working with them, working for them, collaborating with them. But like, yeah, if you're collaborating with somebody who has way more power than you, and is way bigger than you, has way more money than you, makes way more money than you, then they have power over you.
Max, where did Steven touch you, Max?
Stop, Zerga, you're gone.
No, I want you.
Get him out of here.
The amount of sycophantic bootlicking in this call is going to demonstrate.
No, okay, that was Zerga. That was Zerga doing Zerga things. No one else has done that besides him. Zerga's.
No, that's not true. Every single person in the call has, at some point, been like, "No, he's fair to all of us. What are you talking about? Don't speak on my behalf. I would never." Steven treats me so well, Max. I've never talked to you before, but I'm going to come in and start arguing and sucking up to you. It's like, Steven, I don't even know why you talk to this guy. No, you guys are all bootlickers.
Can I make
continue?
Wow, okay, so this is kind of crazy because I was
the official bootlicker wants to make a statement. The professional bootlicker. What's your statement for it? Go ahead.
The last 3 years. Okay, but that is so interesting to me because you are assuming all these things about my relationship with Destiny and like how I interact with them. I have not been on stream for like the past 2 years for good reasons, right? And instead of taking the criticism that I'm talking about, you're not
giving any criticism. You're asking me. Yes. You're asking me questions. You're like, don't you think that maybe you sound entitled? That's not a criticism. If you have a criticism, I'd like to hear it, and then I'll respond. Go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to walk you through it, right? Because it's a lot easier to say like,
I'm not stupid. I don't have to be walked through. You could just tell me the criticism, and I'll be able to.
Because you're deflecting right now what everybody's saying about you. Instead of listening, you're saying,
I'll be back in
you're all bootlicker.
Okay.
And
Here's the primary. I'm not.
You're saying like, oh no, like.
Wait. The thing that made me say that was Zerka saying, "Where did Steven touch you?" I'm not deflecting. Okay. I understand the primary disagreement right now seems to be that you think that even though there is a power differential that you definitely can't argue against, it's not a formally created power differential. So therefore, I should not have expectations of a formal nature or professional nature.
At Mint Mobile, we're always looking for innovative ways to save you money, so you can keep paying $15 a month for premium wireless. That's why instead of hiring an expensive director for this commercial, we found someone willing to work for candy and approval. Hey, sweetie.
Candy and approval.
Okay, there you go. All right, admit.
What I'm saying is that, there can be a power differential. No one's like, I'm not disagreeing with that, at least.
Yes, I just said that.
Yeah, I didn't. Yes. I'm starting from the beginning.
You're not even rephrasing. You're just saying the same thing I just said.
Okay, chill.
Okay.
But you cannot get mad at that power differential if you're the one who's constantly putting yourself in a bad position over and over and over and over again, despite Destiny not asking you to, despite Destiny not, putting you there. You're the one who's putting yourself.
So because a formal relationship was never actually established verbally, so if Steven said, Max, I want you to work for me, and here's the job. The job is when you think of something you want to talk about, or if I think of something I want to talk about with you, or something naturally comes up, I just want you to come on my stream. I want you to try to be interesting. I want you to, make sure your audio equipment's good, your camera's good. I want you to look and sound good, and I want you to speak, concisely. You be yourself. It's a pretty simple job, but I just want you to come on and kind of like talk to people, and then I'll post videos about it, and I'll make thousands and thousands of dollars per month, and you, in exchange, you get to all be in your videos, so you get a boost in the algorithm from that. People will like you, my community, some of my fans will come over to you. What do you say? So if he said that, and I said, okay, that sounds good, then do you think I would have more of a right to be upset?
Honestly, if you said that, yeah, you'd have more of a right, because Destiny's not, like, begging you to be on stream.
Simon Belmont. Like, great. Really?
I'm out of place here, Destiny.
No, he's never begged me to be on stream. So, again, the reason I thought I did a pretty good job of framing your argument for you is that your main complaint is that no formal agreement was ever explicitly made, and yet I am bringing in expectations as if it were.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. Okay. So there's two parts of this. One is how I feel. You're saying I shouldn't feel this way, but I do. And so that's an angle where you're trying to discredit me by saying, well, you're just an entitled fucking weirdo. You're a crazy person. You think you're entitled to all this shit, but you're not. You're crazy. And then
I never said you were crazy. I said you were entitled, which.
Yeah. But I'm saying that's an attack on my emotional and psychological well-being. You're saying I shouldn't.
Wait, calling someone entitled is an attack on somebody's emotional and psychological well-being?
No, telling somebody that they shouldn't feel what they're feeling is an attack on somebody.
I don't think she was talking about what she was feeling. I think
she said I don't have a right to be angry. So
Wait,
there's two
No,
components.
what? No,
Wait,
not
wait,
at
wait,
all.
stop. But don't scatter what I'm saying. It's very simple. There's an emotional component and a logistical component. So do I have a right to feel how I feel? She's saying I don't.
No, hold on,
shouldn't be
stop. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick stab at this, Pixie. You tell me if I'm right or tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, super quick. Okay, it sounds like what Pixie is saying is that you are now you're doing this thing where you're like, just because I don't make a formal agreement with you doesn't mean that I can't have some forms of boundaries, which everybody in here would agree. You don't have to make a formal agreement with somebody who has some forms of boundaries, but you're not talking about a boundary like a friendship boundary. It seems like you're extending that to almost like a form of professional boundary. You're talking about these are the rules that you need to make to moderate your community to appease me professionally. And what Pixie is saying is that in order to make a professional ask of somebody or to have a professional boundary, it seems like some professional agreement would have needed to have been made and not just assumed. Otherwise, you have a feeling of entitlement that isn't justified. That sounds like what Pixie's argument was.
Yeah, but there's two components to that. There's the logistical, professional component, and then there's the emotional component.
No one here is talking about the emotional component. It's about the logistical.
She just said you don't have a. She's just said you don't have a right to be angry.
Okay, what I said. Well, I don't.
Pixie, do you
not
think I have a
sure
right to
if
be
I-
angry?
Honestly, I think everybody can feel what they want to feel, right? Everybody has a right to feel whatever.
Okay.
But whether those emotions are valid or not, whether those emotions should be introspected more, and hopefully
Okay,
we work
right.
towards
So
change.
so I can have. So why don't you just bite the? Let's cut.
Yeah,
to
no, I'll bite the
Let's cut the
bullet.
shit.
I think
Wait,
more-
let's cut the shit. Let's skip the loop. Let's bite the bullet and just say you don't think that my emotions are valid. That's what you said. Let's just put that down, and then I can
Let's
respond
be
to it
very
without you
specific,
shifting it to
please.
something else.
Can we be very
Can we-
specific though? Because I'm not saying, oh, you can't be
I'm
angry
not trying to.
or hurt
I'm not
in
trying
general.
to. I'm not trying to
I
get
know.
you. I'm not trying to dunk on you. I'm literally explaining your argument for you, and you're
Oh my
interrupting me,
God.
telling me it's wrong, going on a loop,
No,
having
no, no,
Stephen
no, 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 no,
translate,
no.
and then
I'm asking
restating
for
the
right
same
now.
thing that I
Be
just
very
said.
specific.
For
I just
10
want to
minutes,
be
all that's been
clear.
happening for 10 minutes is you trying to escape me stating your own argument to you
All
and
that's
then
been happening for
restating it
10
over
minutes
and
is
over.
you deflecting. Okay, but whatever. I am trying to be
I would
clear
like-
right now. That is all I am trying to do.
I understand what
trying
you're
to ask
saying
you-
because you're saying the
okay.
same thing as everybody else, so it's not that hard to understand. I get it. You think that my emotions are not valid because you think I am both professionally and interpersonally overly entitled to what I view as my property, my space, and my Stephen. I get it.
I never
get
said
what you're saying.
interpersonally, but continue.
When you talk about my feelings, you are bringing up the interpersonal. You're not just talking about professional anger. You're talking about my psychology. And I believe what you think about my psychology is that I have boundaries for me, but not for thee. That I believe that I can say no to people, and I can tell people to fuck off, and I can do whatever, blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, I don't feel that other people should be able to say no to me, including Stephen, interpersonally, psychologically. I think that's the picture you're painting of me. Is that wrong?
Yeah. I think more or less that's basically it.
Okay, so to address the two prongs, now that we've agreed on what you're saying, professionally, streaming is a new and uncharted territory, partly invented by Stephen himself. And I don't think that we have really figured out how to establish these relationships and how to maintain them in a way that's good for especially the orbiter, but even good for the streamer. So I don't think it should be the Wild West. I guess I'm just for people speaking out when they think something is unjust. And I'm also all about calling out the unspoken, bringing the unspoken agreement or unspoken relationship to light. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So when I call Stephen your boss or our boss, I'm not saying he officially has accepted this title. I'm saying it because you are already not thinking it. I'm saying it because it's not acknowledged. I'm saying I think we should acknowledge that
It's not reality.
That's fine if you don't. It's fine if you don't agree. But I don't think I'm saying anything about, like, you don't like the label, but everything I'm saying about it, like, we benefit greatly from appearing on Stephen's stream, and he can control that. He control our access to that resource. He doesn't really get much from appearing on any of our streams. That's
He's
just
not
true.
he's not like a natural he's not like natural water. He's not like the pond or the rain that
I'm not
I get
saying
to
I'm not
collect
saying
at
he's the
free
pond.
will.
I'm saying he has
He's
control.
like,
He doles out access to a very valuable resource when he sees fit, and this gives him a lot of power in the relationship. You don't have to call it a boss if you want. We already have the word. Orbiter is kind of a like semi-ironic term, but it's pretty accurate. We exist because of him. If he cuts us loose, then we are
That
just a
is-
little asteroid sailing through the nothingness of space. That tie can always be cut.
I just
and
don't.
when,
I
and
don't
if you
feel
cut
this way.
if you cut ties with
and-
Steven, you heard him what he said earlier. Lav was like, "Well, I don't know if I want to be talked to this way," and he was like, "Fine, go fuck yourself." But like,
Yeah,
the only reason I have a
but that's what
career
you
is
do.
because of Steven.
Okay,
you
Max,
can't
you
just
are
levy
projecting
threats
your-
at him and expect him to care, right?
Wait, I'm not. Wait, stop. I'm not projecting anything. I'm just describing literally the
describing your
logistics of our relationship. If you walk out of Walmart and you say, "Go fuck yourself, Walmart," it does not change Walmart's life at all. If Walmart says, "Go fuck yourself," you're fired. It changes your life completely. I think we should acknowledge that. Like,
projecting your
wait, I haven't even
personal
finished what I'm
relationship
saying.
and
Again,
yours.
I'm just trying to. These are obvious things that are obviously true, and you won't even let me finish it. Stop making me come up with examples of how what I'm saying is like obviously true.
I don't think you
Steven?
should say
It's not
obvious
obviously true. That's a
okay.
when
problem.
people are disagreeing.
Okay, what
You're
part of what I
saying-
just said isn't true, Pixie? Let's
Okay,
do it.
when I keep saying, "Oh, you're projecting," what I'm saying is that
No,
you
I don't
have
want you to talk about that. No, you just said what I just said isn't true. What about
You're-
what I
it's not true,
described?
it's so
I have
fucking
addressed.
obvious.
I've
I'm
addressed
about
only
to-
the professional. I've addressed only the professional. What about what
Okay.
I said about our professional relationships with Steven is not true?
Well, first of all, my life and my profession, seeing that it's like not even streaming to begin with, is not affected by whether Steven is interacting with me on stream or not. Other
Agreed.
people have
For most
communities
of us,
large enough
for most
where
of
they
us,
can continue.
okay, great. Then you're not in
without
that case. In that
even-
case, you're not one of the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are financially dependent or semi-dependent on their relationship with Steven.
which might be you, but that's
Yes,
not.
I'm one of those
necessarily every
people.
single
Yes,
person
that's
that you're
good.
talking
I'm talking
to,
about
nor even
orbiters.
every orbiter.
Yes, I'm talking
Like-
about orbiters who depend on Steven for their living. So what about what I said about those relationships is not true, or can I finish making my point?
Finish making your point, but just specify it's you because there's other orbiters. or
I'm not
people
just
get
talking
called
about me.
orbiters.
There are multiple people, including people in this call, who benefit greatly financially and professionally from their exposure to Steven and his stream.
But just because they benefit doesn't mean that their career is over. Just because Steven doesn't
I
talk
didn't
to
say
them
your career is
anymore.
over. Just because Walmart fires you doesn't mean that you're never going to work a cashier job again.
Wait, hold
But
on,
you do
stop. To
have
be
that-
clear, that is what you're implying. Because you're saying that I
No,
only
I'm not.
exist because of. Wait, no, wait. You literally said that I only exist because of him, and otherwise we're asteroids cut loose into space. You're
I didn't
implying
say
that,
I
like.
only exist because of you. I said I only have a career because of you.
Okay, which means your career is over aside from me. That's what Pixie was saying.
You know what
It's
this
not
reminds
over.
me of?
It's just entirely. It would be very handy at this point. I mean, you've already kind of semi-professionally cut ties with me in some ways, and I think I'm gonna survive. I mean,
It's just a
you are
subreddit.
banning my fans from your subreddit.
Okay, this is the thing that's happening right now, but like you're still appearing
I
on
am.
stream, no problem. I still appear in YouTube videos, no problem. I'll still like, damn, I don't think I
Yes,
haven't come
but-
close to cutting ties with anything.
No, but my the character I'm now allowed to play.
You,
on
I
the
haven't.
stream.
You can do whatever you want. I don't have any problems with anything you've done on stream. If I have a problem with things you're saying, I'm gonna shout at you.
Do you agree? Okay,
Yeah.
will you bite the bullet that banning my fans from your subreddit does increase a anti Mr. Girl sentiment on your subreddit, and thus, therefore, does define how I am seen by your community to some
Oh, thank
degree.
God, something I give a shit about. Oh, thank you. So, do you think you and your fans do anything to deserve a ban?
Stephen, will you answer my question?
If I ban all of your fans, will anti-Max sentiment necessarily raise my sub? To some extent, it probably will, sure. But I mean, it's not like they're never going to be nice to you. Like you've done interviews afterwards where I think my sub ubiquitously was in agreement that you did really well on the no jumper thing. I don't think there was like hardly any disagreement there. And I was with. I think that was already post like a lot of your fans getting banned.
But
so.
will you bite the bullet that banning my fans from your subreddit lowers my?
I just did.
standing
I
on your
literally
subreddit?
already did. I can restate it again if you'd like, but yes, of course it will.
No,
yes.
you bit the bullet, but then you did chaser. I don't no chaser.
Well, I have to do it because you always do these hardcore insinuations, and then those insinuations like pump the rest of your arguments without people being aware of it. But
I
like,
don't think it's a hardcore insinuation to say, do you agree that to some degree banning all my fans from your subreddit hurts my standing in your community?
yes, I don't. That's not the problem. The problem is later on you're going to say that by banning your fans, I've like made it impossible for my sub to, or you're going to make
No,
more
I
pointed
don't-
arguments.
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not,
we'll see.
I'm not going
we'll
to.
see.
Let's
Okay.
look. Yeah, let's see, and then you can say it after I do it instead of before I do it, motherfucker. Okay. Yes, it's true. I still have access to your stream. I can still come on and be me. But the character I get to play now is one that discredits me, and actually hurts my reputation. And so, yes, you haven't cut ties with me, but I have lost access to something that gave me a career. I don't have that thing. If I came on and you portrayed me the way you do now at first, I probably wouldn't have a career.
Like, you're the one who basically assigned your career onto Steven. Do you understand that? Do you see that?
I am describing the logistical, professional, interweb here, or interconnected web of relationships.
Yeah, but do you understand
and
that?
you keep switching the conversation back to my psychology. But before you do that,
hold on, wait, real quick, wait. Let me hold on. Let me just into what Pixie's saying, because I and I could be wrong, but it feels like this is what she's implying, and it does make me feel a little uncomfortable. Is it sounds like what you've essentially done is, in a way, you have made me completely responsible for your existence, and now I have to accept a whole bunch of responsibilities that entails, and that's a really spooky ask or demand. That I'm.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think you feel like I'm guilt tripping you, and I think it freaks you out.
Well, I wouldn't say that it freaks me out. It's more that just like I've been given a whole list of responsibilities that I didn't know I was signing up for. Is the argument Pixie's making?
Yes.
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 And do you?
I think
do you
we.
know
I think we
for
all
how
agree
long?
on that.
Do you know for how long? Because do you know for how long you expect that? Like, is it until you outgrow Steven?
Oh, if I outgrow Steven, then will I
like
feel...
when do you expect him to not put your image before his maybe like authentic reaction to your arguments or whatever? Or
that's
like,
not what I'm asking for.
Or allowing people to ban your fans. Like, at what point do you allow him to do what he wants to do with his platform?
He's allowed to ban my fans whenever he wants, but if he wants me to, I mean, obviously, if he wants me to participate.
When Cherry says allowed, she means like, what would you prefer? Obviously, not what am I actually.
Yeah, like
allowed to
at
do.
what point will you be?
Well, I reject that framing of allow. So if you're asking me what I want, then
what is your ideal? At what time do you feel like it will be ideal for you to like cut the umbilical cord?
I don't want to cut the umbilical cord. That's not what I'm describing. I'm talking about a set of norms that I think should be in place when there's a huge power differential that are not in place. And so I think, one, we should acknowledge the power differential. And then I'm still trying to respond to Pixie's, like, you guys are running so much interference for each other.
Okay,
I can't wait. Stop. Let me finish my sentence about how you're interrupting me. You guys are running so much interference for each other that I literally can't respond to any single point without either that person themselves saying they didn't say what they just said, or somebody else coming in to translate, aka change the subject. So I feel like all this started because Pixie asked me my position, I thought, and I'm trying to say, or me saying, here's your two main contentions with me, and I'd like to respond to both of them, but I feel like I haven't been able to do that. So instead of having a bunch of mini arguments, can we just accept that we do have a professional relationship with Steven? That relationship was not formalized. It has not been made explicit until maybe right now, me saying this.
Gosh.
It does not have clear terms and boundaries. There are no protections in place for people who enter Steven's orbit. Orbiters do tend to be fans. They tend to be people who really admire Steven and love Steven and look up to Steven. They enter into his orbit. It's a great honor to be here. And this primes people, along with the not informal nature, and along with Steven's not irresponsible, but like the like willingness to wrestle in the mud, or wanting to wrestle in the mud with you. All of this, I think, combines to create a situation where no one is really advocating for the orbiters. And so I want to stand up and say, like, look, I think this financial relationship exists, is very real. A lot of us are actually dependent on you for paying rent. And I think that introduces a lot of power imbalances that I want to talk about.
He's not here right now, by the way.
Dan, why the f am I here?
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
That's fine. I think he already knows what I'm saying anyway. Then the second part is my psychology. So if you want to talk about how you think I feel over entitled, I can see why you're saying that. I think there's a couple things I'll speak to on that. One, the bar for expressing anger is pretty low. So for Steven to get to the point where he's going to come on a stream and say, like, listen, I'm here, I want to talk to you because I'm angry at you, he would have to be apoplectic in order to get to that point.
I'm
much more open, very angry.
Oh, okay.
I'm much more open about my feelings. So I can be feeling probably something less than what you're imagining in order to tell somebody, like, hey, I'm angry at you. and then, what's the other part? You're talking about how I'm entitled and flipping out, main character
Yeah.
syndrome, narcissistic. I um I think I'm also much more willing to have conflict. Um, so for me,
No.
there's been a lot of professional
No.
situations in my life where
You're
What?
not willing to have conflict because to be willing to have conflict, you would need you'd need to allow the other person to have conflict with you, and you very much do not want to let Steven have conflict with
this
you.
is how I see myself, despite
Okay.
Cherry's assessment of me. I think that I am more willing to have conflict than most people, and I think it gives people the impression that I am more entitled or think things are worse than they are. I don't think what Steven is doing is like horrific. I don't think it's really his fault that he's been thrust into this role. I don't think he wants the responsibility, but I think he wants the benefit of having orbiters, and I think that should carry with it responsibility. In my eyes, it does.
Okay, I have a question. It seems like you have put Steven in an impossible situation to win because, again, first of all, he didn't ask for this responsibility, yet it seems like you have hoisted it upon him. So if he decides, hey, guess what? I don't want this responsibility of dealing with orbiters. I'm not talking to any more orbiters on stream, et cetera, et cetera. Like where this is done, what's gonna happen to you, Max?
I'll just fall back on being a rapper.
Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What's going to happen to me? Like, yeah, it would suck. I would be sad. It would hurt my career, but that I understand. That's fine.
Okay.
Like again, if Walmart wants to be like, listen, I can't stop hitting my employees, so I guess we have to shut down because we can't stop beating the employees. That's fine. If he cannot. If he does not want to or cannot treat his orbiters well, then yeah, I guess I think he shouldn't have them. But that's not what I want.
Can I challenge you on something, Max? Because
Sure.
I've heard much of your criticism of Steven.
Okay.
He's irresponsibly platforming other people and now irresponsibly managing his orbiters. What is responsible that he's doing?
What is responsible?
Yeah, what is a good thing that happens on this stream besides you having a career?
What is the good thing that happens on the stream aside from having a career? He is very fair and understanding of people's different perspectives and empathetic and intelligent 92% of the time. That's pretty good.
Okay. I have a question. I have more questions for you.
He's doing a way better job of steering the ship than any of you would. So
Okay.
I'm like, look, I think that I'm not saying that I think anyone else is more qualified to do this than he is. I think most people in his situation would end up being abusive to some degree. I think that's just part of having power.
Okay. What I know you kind of like touched upon it earlier, but I really got to know specifics of what does orbiter responsibility exactly look like for you? Because so far the things that you have been describing, at least from an outsider perspective, seems kind of unfair, if not just like completely unfair. So maybe I'm just
but I haven't made any prescriptions. I
Exactly.
don't even know what
I'm saying what it looks like you're alluding to. So that's why I'm asking you to be specific.
I'm not
right
alluding
now.
to. Okay, here's my prescription. I think that Steven should acknowledge the power imbalance, and I think he should take that acknowledgement into account when having interpersonal commentary or interpersonal conflict with people, and when getting feedback about it. I think it's really messy and confusing and really, really difficult to do all of these roles at once, and I don't think it's fair to expect that he'd do that. So what I think should happen is I think he should be really open to feedback. I think anybody who says like, "Hey, I think you're mistreating your orbiters. I think you're mistreating me." I think he should take a big step back when somebody says that and say, "Oh, I have this rule with my girlfriend. We have a rule in our relationship that usually when we're having a conflict, we acknowledge explicitly whose turn is it to talk about their side. usually it's a bad idea if we both try to talk about our feelings. So we say, okay, you're going to talk about your feelings. That's fine. You're the one who brought up the thing. If you're the first person to say I'm angry or I'm upset with you, then it's your turn. Go ahead. You get to talk about it. I will do my best to listen to you and make space for your narrative and your feelings. Even if I think everything you're saying is a lie, I will just look through your eyes. But there is a catch. If either of us says, I think you're being abusive, the other person has to stop. Whatever role you're in, when you make an abuse allegation, however minor, I think you're being abusive, the other person has to say, okay, why? Why do you think I'm being abusive? Why did you say that? It's an automatic timeout. And I think it would be good to have something like that in Steven's orbiter relationships, where a check on Steven's power, because Steven doesn't want to acknowledge his power. And I think that
don't know why you keep saying that when I will.
That's not true. Yeah, this is another thing. You keep saying like, oh, I want him to acknowledge.
I think Steven has not acknowledged his power sufficiently, and I think.
How? In what way? Oh, wait. In what way have I? I'm just curious because we can just solve that one real quick.
Because when Pixie starts pushing back on me and saying, "Oh, he didn't formally blah blah," what you should have done, I think, is you should have jumped in and been like, "No, let's be real here. I don't think of myself as your boss, but like, yeah, I have a fucking shitload of power over you. Go ahead, Max.
Well,
go ahead.
But
Pixie.
obviously, I have power. But
bite the bullet.
Well, that's not a. The problem is the not being the. First of all, no, I wouldn't say that I'm your boss, at all.
I know.
In any size, shape, or form.
I know.
And you wouldn't agree with that either, because it doesn't make any sense, right? Because
wait, in any way, shape, or form, that's not true. You
correct.
Have power
in any way, shape, or form.
Professional and financial power.
Professional financial power does not make somebody somebody's boss. It could be a interpersonal relationship.
Part of it. Wait, you said in any way, shape, or
form.
It's
necessary but not sufficient doesn't make it necessary and sufficient, right?
I'm not saying you're literally actually my boss, but in some ways you are.
No, not at all.
Okay, well, so if you want to be responsible with your power, you should just bite the bullet and say, yeah, I get what you mean.
I understand what you mean, but what you're saying is wrong. I can be charitable. I have some level of.
You shouldn't say.
Okay,
I think you shouldn't do that. I've had this problem with you since our second conversation, where I was like, "Hey, at any point, are we gonna acknowledge the extreme power differential between us?" And you were basically just like, "No, you can talk about it. I don't think about it." And I was
no.
That was think about how much people benefit. Like all these,
you're just
sycophantic suck-ups leeching off you. You don't think about that, and you're like, "No."
Okay, so in that second conversation, that had to that referred to our personal relationship, in which case I don't think about that much at all. If you want to, that's fine. If it affects you, that's fine. But I don't personally think about it that way. Now you're talking about a professional relationship. So to refer back to that conversation makes absolutely no sense, okay? Now, what we're talking about right now is whether or not I'm your boss. I'm not your boss. Do I have some similarities to your boss? Yeah, sure. And that like I have some like control over your income potentially, or can platform you or employ you in certain ways that makes you more money, sure. But there's plenty of people in your life that can do that to you that aren't your boss at all. For instance, I might be working for a company as a consultant or whatever, and I've got a relationship with another client, and that guy, whether or not he agrees or disagrees to the offer that I make him, might have a dramatic impact on even whether or not I maintain my job. But that guy's not my boss, right? So I just that phrase is very strange, because the problem is when you say boss, you're using a form of intuition pumping there, because boss implies some level of consensual obligations between both parties. And you're trying to say, well, you're kind of like my boss because we have these things, and if I agree to it, intuition pump. Okay, well, now you agree you're kind of like my boss. Well, how would it be like if Walmart just fired me out of nowhere or something like that, even though they have the right to do that?
No.
I'm
not trying to trap you.
You are. You're doing that with that boss phrase. Otherwise, all you could really say is like, oh, well, he's got some power over income, right? Yeah, of course. You would just say it like that and leave it there. That would be fair. But when you say boss, you're using boss as an intuition pump to some sort of contractual obligation that we've mutually agreed to, which we haven't really.
No, that's not. I'm referring to the ethics.
The ethics are not existing at all whatsoever here. We don't have a boss employer.
I know that is our that is our contention. I think they exist, and that is why I'm using the word boss.
Okay, let's just have that. Let's have that conversation then. How am I your boss?
I thought you know the ways that I think you're my boss. We both agree on the situation.
Okay, did I hire you? Did we go through any sort of hiring process?
We both agree on every part of this. We don't need to go through this.
Okay, then I'm not your boss then, because I wouldn't say I'm your boss at all.
The only reason I'm using the word is because I think, due to our financial and professional relationship, I think you have certain ethics that you should follow, which you don't think you should follow. The argument.
Well, sure, we can talk about those ethics, but they're not going to be the same as a boss would have.
I think some of them should be.
Some of them could be, sure, but it's not the same as a boss. Some of the ways we act should be the same as like a husband and wife treat each other, but that doesn't mean that we're married. I wouldn't use that term. So yeah, I agree. There might be some similarities to bosses or to girlfriends or to wives
No,
or to
don't
whatever.
fucking do that. Don't do that. Don't pretend that you think that our relationship is as similar to husband and wife as it is to boss. It's a flat fucking.
No, hold on. It might be more or less similar. I'm just saying that boss is
great.
incorrect. Boss does not apply to.
Husband and wife wouldn't really. There'd be no point for me to use that comparison. There's a lot of point in me using the comparison of boss.
Yes,
because I think you're
and the
an
point is the
irresponsible
intuition
leader.
pump of trying to imply that I had some pre-existing contractual agreement with you in terms of our
No,
relationship.
I
which
don't.
we don't.
Okay, let me make it clear. We can use a different word.
Sure.
I don't think. Okay, I don't think we have. I don't think we have a contractual agreement. I think we have a messy, confusing relationship, including financially and professionally messy and confusing. But in that relationship, I think there is a gigantic power differential where you have more control over me and the course of my life than a boss at Walmart has over his employee. So we don't have to use the word to describe our relationship. I just want to point out that in relationships where there is much less influence over the worker's life, there's still ethical protections in place, which you seem to shirk entirely.
Well, because ethical obligations are usually things that are at least implicitly agreed to when people enter a sort of relationship with one another.
Well, I think that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to think about what's ethical here, and I'm asking you to hear me out as I make my case.
Well, sure, and I'll hear you out, and we can think about what's ethical. But you're not asking me to have done it. You're upset because I haven't already done it. Like, it's not like you're coming to me now and it's like, okay, hey, hold on. If we're going to keep going on this, we should have a conversation about this. You're upset because you think I've already failed to meet those obligations that I should have already been aware of.
Yeah, I think that's unfair, and I think you're right. Well, I don't think it's unfair to be upset about it. It's more like things are happening that are really upsetting to me, and then as I kind of step back and think like, okay, what the fuck is going on? As I try to sort out what's happening between us, then I'm like, oh, this shouldn't have happened. I think that's not right. And then I'm reframing that as like, okay, I think this is an ethics thing that I think should be talked about. But I agree. The framing that you should have thought about this already is not fair.
Sure, that's fine. And then the only thing I ask then is that, like, when you think about it from reframing it in the way that it feels unfair or whatever, which is totally fair, especially when you're dealing with like massive amounts of hates from other communities, is like the way that I usually approach these types of thoughts is like, well, what if this was universalized? Like, is the expectation that I'm setting here fair for expectations between all people that are in the quote unquote orbiter class? Is the question.
I think absolutely. So the expectations I would like you to consider are, I think, in dealing with interpersonal conflict, if you're defining somebody, calling them stupid or immature, or implying that they may be, or allowing others, implying it by being silent. Like if Dan calls Lav a snake, and then you don't say anything. I think I just want you to think about the power of defining the narrative that you have and how much that affects the other.
Yeah, I don't have to think about that. I already know to some extent that that's going to exist. But like, if I would have to formally state it, I would say like, don't ever come here if you're expecting me to be like this stalwart defender of every single person that comes on from an uncharacterization of another person they're talking to. Like, I explicitly don't like intervene in those types of conversations unless somebody's like being unhinged or whatever. That's just not my role. It's never been my role.
I don't think I'm asking you to be a stalwart defender. I think it's more.
If you want me to intervene between a disagreement between Dan and Lav, of course you're asking me to step in and be like Lav's defender. I don't need to step in.
Let me describe what I'm asking, and then you can tell me if that is what I'm saying. I'm asking you to set norms.
What norm are you asking me to set here? That the guests can't insult each other? Like, what norm could I possibly set to make it so that Dan can't call Lav stupid? If Dan thinks Lav is stupid.
I don't think I said that. I said she acts snaky.
Okay, if Dan says that Lav is snaky, he feels that way. What norm could I possibly set such that Dan can't say that? That I can.
I think a norm of being aware of a dog pile, where if the community is calling Lav snaky, and you're calling her out on her inconsistencies, I think there should be a norm that should be dealt with carefully.
I have a question, Max.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that there could? This is just random, but like,
just
if
say
there
what you
is
think.
a
Stop.
situation...
Just say what you think. Please, just say what you think.
Okay, I'm trying.
Just say I think.
Okay.
I can't stand
if there
these
is a
questions.
situation, well, because I'm trying to understand how you think better. I don't want to make a statement where if I'm not completely understanding you first.
Just Say what you think.
If there is a situation where Lav is acting snaky,
Fuck.
I think that people should be allowed
Fuck.
to call her out on that.
Get out! Why? Why?
But it
I would never accept, in my community, I would never accept snaky as a defined trait that can be fairly applied to a human.
You almost didn't you literally ban her initially and claim that she was a type of pedophile?
I didn't call her a pedophile. I said she was sexualizing minors.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, there's a
Well, no,
huge
those are two different things. Well, it's not a smear. It's like there's a rule
He
that you
didn't
broke.
approve snaky, so he's consistent.
I would never. And like with Lav, I don't think I've insulted Lav. I mean, even
Fuck.
Terry and Stardust in the last week, I don't think I've insulted either of them. I think I've just been like, I believe what they said. I believe that they were confused or had a reaction for whatever reason and made this allegation against me and retracted it. I've not called either. If I was going to call someone snaky, that would have been the time where I would be tempted to do it, but I wasn't. I didn't. It's just not something that I do. It's not how I talk about people because it's fucking unempathetic. I don't want to do that to people, and I don't want my community to do it to people. But it's just a norm. So it's not like I'm saying, like, yeah, if you set a norm that you're gonna like call people names and insult people, especially orbiters, then like, yeah, we're all gonna do it to each other. That's like how families work. You're the head, and we're all gonna mimic your behavior.
So
if you call Lav a
what's
dumb
the
bitch, then all your fans are gonna call each other dumb bitches.
What is the gauge on the career harm of being called a snake?
I don't think that you're going to be able to clearly define harm in any of these cases. You can watch the wave of negative sentiment come through the community, and then afterward there's a counter wave, and then as Stephen always points out. But who knows? Like, who knows where any of us would be if these.
It just seems like the level of protection that you want Steven to provide orbiters is basically setting him up to be like a daycare center for streamers.
That's fine. If you think do you think I'm running a daycare center? I don't think I am.
I have no idea who
You
your
flipped out and
orbiters are.
left my show, and then I don't think I'm running a daycare center. I think I go pretty hard on people who come on. I have a lot of conflict with people who come on my stream. People who come on my stream have conflicts with each other. I don't think I'm running a daycare center, and yet there's a norm on my stream that I think my viewers, my community, and people who come on my stream follow, which is that like we don't hurl dehumanizing, vicious insults at each other, and that is not a norm here.
I don't know.
I think it should be if you're going to have.
I didn't follow a conversation for 2 hours. You basically told your chat I was retarded.
No, you used the word retarded. I would never call you. I would never call you retarded. When you remember what I said when you left, if you heard it, I said, "Look, I'm glad Cherry set a boundary. I think it was good of her to speak up and say that I don't think this conversation is good for me." And she left. And I said, "Cherry, if you want to come back or if you want to send me a DM of any statement you'd like to make to amend anything that's been said, I'm happy to say it for you. I would never call you retarded.
Okay,
I just would never do that."
Okay, then I cannot follow you by what you find to be like a harmful thing. If maybe for you it's like certain words are a no-no, but
no, it's not that certain words.
Can he like paint someone in a way that says the words instead of the words? Like where?
I don't think it's painting you as retarded to say that there's a conversation that I think you're having trouble following. I don't think that's calling you retarded.
Just say I'm having trouble. You said I couldn't follow it. I'm not capable.
Yes, a conversation that you can't follow. I don't think that means you're retarded.
Well, that just means she's stupid, right?
No, it doesn't mean. No, stop. Don't.
Well,
listen.
Here's the difference.
Will somebody bite the fucking bullet? Will somebody acknowledge that Steven insults people more than I do? Come on, somebody step up, open your mouth, and bite the fucking bullet. Steven clearly insults people more than I do.
I think it's a little bit.
Will you please acknowledge this?
I don't know. I think that.
I do a lot of insulting.
Well, here's the issue. I use more mean words than you do.
Yes,
for sure. But
okay.
You've made some pretty extreme statements towards people as well that implies a level of ineptitude or incapability too. So I don't know, like per capita of like streaming hours, who's insulted who more. I'm not sure on that. But I use more mean words for sure.
I don't think I'm known for making.
When Destiny's, he'll throw around things pretty casually, and I think everybody kind of understands that it's pretty casual. It's not really, there's no real meaning behind it. But Mr. Girl, you do have a history of hating people.
Okay. Okay,
listen,
fine.
You guys have all talked a lot. Hold on, Max.
Stop. I want to finish. I'm not. Stop. Everybody, stop changing the fucking subject.
I'm not. I'm commenting on this.
Okay, I was asked a simple question. What do I expect? Steven said, do you expect me to be a stalwart defender of everybody who comes on the stream? The answer is no, I don't expect that. I expect or request that you set norms.
Okay.
And I think those norms should take into account the power differential. And one norm, I believe, is that people should probably, especially if somebody is on the back foot or being dogpiled, I don't think that people should be making denigrating, sweeping, dehumanizing statements about that person.
All right, I'm hold Stardust, please Stardust. I haven't said nothing in like an hour, but I just want to give an example of something. If I call Stardust a fucking moron, I don't think anyone in chat really cares. Like it might get a few laughs. I don't think Stardust.
I completely disagree.
Okay, that's fine. Let me finish my thing. So I don't think that's a huge deal. I think that like mostly people are like, hey, you called them stupid, whatever, not a big deal. You know what is a big deal? If I said, Stardust, you are actually incapable of having this conversation. I'm not sure what it is. Did you finish school? But regardless, I can't have this conversation with you. You're demonstrated you don't have the ability. If I say that, that's like, holy shit, Stardust is a fucking moron.
Yeah,
and people walk away. That is
say-
10 times worse than just calling them stupid.
If I can also add something, if I can add something also, saying that like, oh, Stardust, I think you're too traumatized to have this difficult conversation. And if you didn't know that you were too traumatized to have this difficult conversation, even though my brand is having difficult conversations, you should have told me, Stardust. You should have told me. And you're just so incapable of having this conversation that I'm going to talk to you like I talked to Shaylin. How are these things not painting somebody a certain way? You're weaponizing what you perceive. You weaponized what you perceived was trauma for me, and then used it as a weapon against me to discredit me.
I don't mean to dogpile.
Okay.
I'm just.
Yeah, well, but you see that you. Okay. To respond
I've never
to
painted
Stardust.
you like that. Nobody here.
Stardust?
I've never
I don't.
wait a
Please
minute.
don't. Please,
I-
okay. Yes,
I haven't
Stardust.
talked-
You would never
I've
paint
not-
me in
I
a
have
negative
not-
way that could impact my reputation.
I retracted,
Absolutely
I
not.
retracted my tweet within 1 hour. I apologized twice
okay,
publicly and to you privately. It was a
Okay.
huge mistake. It was a huge mistake. I will never disagree with you on that. But you spent the last few months painting me as emotionally incapable, as just so fucking traumatized that I can't partake in a normal adult conversation when I've had way more problematic conversations with people, just because I didn't want to cede on one point with you. You didn't want to move the conversation forward. And then because I did what I said I would do, Max, I said that when people push me on these things, I withdraw a bit. And I did what I said what I do, right? I withdrew a bit.
I don't want to talk
didn't
about
ghost
this with you.
I didn't ghost you.
I don't want to talk about this with you.
I don't care. I need to say this.
I don't want to
not
hear it.
ghost-
Stardust, you broke up with
All
me. You sent me a DM saying you don't want to talk to me about this. You asked Steven if you would host a conversation between us. I don't want to talk to you.
Okay. All right. You have. I'm just saying you have no right to be going at Steven for painting people a certain way when you spent the
But
last few months
What?
painting me
Like
a
Stardust.
specific way. You painted me
Okay.
as emotionally.
I understand
and just
that you
mentally
yes.
incapable of
I
having
don't
a
want to
conversation.
talk to
And
you about
because
this.
I enforced,
don't want to talk to you about this.
I withdrew. You discounted everything I've done for you in our friendship, even though
The
I
last-
put myself in the fucking line the moment I was
Stardust,
friends with
I
you.
don't want to talk to you about
everybody,
this.
you have no
I
fucking
don't
idea
want
the
to
shit I've
talk
been
to
through
you
for you.
about this. I don't want to talk to you about this.
Okay.
I'm willing to be civil in a group conversation with you, but you tried to destroy my life, and because of that, I'm never going to talk to you
I
again.
tried to destroy. I deleted the tweet again within an hour.
It doesn't matter.
Right?
It doesn't
I
matter.
deleted it
It
within
doesn't
an hour.
matter.
I
We're done. Stardust,
apologized
we're done.
multiple
We're done.
times. I've never
Stardust,
fucking called
you
a
and I,
pedophile. I've
you and I,
defended
you.
on multiple.
It doesn't matter.
multiple
Nothing
occasions.
you
I have
did.
a
Nothing
large
you did.
history of being a Me Too
It doesn't
skeptic.
matter. It doesn't matter. It's like you pulled a gun on me,
And
you're saying because you put it away without shooting me that it's okay. It's not.
What
We're
is-
done.
what did
and
you
then
do? What did
you
you
broke
do
up with
when
me.
you
You sent me Stardust.
What did you do when
Stardust. You
weaponized
sent me a
my
DM.
assault against
You sent me a DM.
What
You
did
sent me a
do
DM.
when you weaponized my trauma against me?
You sent me a
What did
DM.
You do? You did that for months.
You sent me a DM
You
breaking
did
up
that
with me,
for months,
and you pulled a
Matt.
gun on me. And
No.
because of that, I don't want to talk to you.
Absolutely not. You don't get to. What the fuck is that, Max?
Might
You
be a little too soon to be having this
my
conversation.
history against me for months to discredit me. So you don't get to fucking tell me about
Okay.
what painting other people a certain way.
I'm not telling you anything. I'm talking to Steven, and you happen to be
Yeah,
here.
and
I don't want to
you
talk
are
to you.
a hypocrite. You are the biggest
Okay.
hypocrite I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anyway, to respond to you, Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even though you set that off on purpose.
Oh, well, first off, I did not set that off on purpose.
Bullshit.
I didn't even know.
This is your fucking no. This is your specialty. You know exactly what you're doing. But
well, I do think. First off, I will say, swear in my case, I didn't know about this thing with Stardust. Like, I knew you guys fought, but I didn't know anything like about calling Stardust stupid with that. That was just,
okay.
She was at the bottom of the thing.
Okay,
yeah. So just to
it was just a lucky you just hit gold. Who hit gold?
Are you
by
accusing me of lying?
I take it back. I'm like, no.
Oh, okay.
I take it. I take it back. You just are so good at stirring up shit that you even do it by accident.
Sometimes I
wait. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. I'm penetrating. Wait. Hold on. Penetrating real quick. Okay. I actually, because I can tell when Dan is shit stirring because he DMs me when he is. I don't think Dan was trying to. I think what Dan was getting at though, what Dan was getting at was that I might say more mean words to people, kind of like Dan does, but people don't take them necessarily as seriously. But when you go in on somebody, it seems to be way more pointed. I think like the piece of evidence that I would suggest that maybe implies this is that technically, when I called Lava dumb,
I don't think my reputation or my character is relevant right now. I don't think it matters.
Okay. Well, the only reason. Wait, real quick. I agree.
Stop.
Wait, I agree. But the only reason why it's the subject right now is because you asked people, "Is Destiny more mean than me?" I think that's the only reason that comparison came up.
Okay, that's fair. You're right. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're more mean than me. So
it kind of does matter because if you're going to be mad about how somebody should interact with others, at the very least, you should reach that minimum bar.
No, you are leaving out the power differential. The question is, how does Steven treat people who have less power than him? And that's where I'm saying that there's ethical concerns. I don't really have orbiters in the same way that Steven does.
He's gotten attacked to his platform from small streamers. That's most people.
This is not relevant. None of this is relevant.
How is that not relevant? How does he get to defend himself ever if every small streamer who orbits him
should stop defending himself? He shouldn't defend himself right now. This is not a good time to defend himself, and it's really not. If you guys are trying to make him look bad, you're doing a good job. This is not a good time for all of his sycophantic Orbiter fans to come out and start defending him. You guys should all shut the fuck up and let him stand as the captain of the ship. Let him stand. Oh my God! Stop! All of your voices drowning me out. You should let him stand as the captain of the ship.
He is standing. That's how tall he is.
And strong. Shut the up. You should let him stand.
Content creator than me, Max.
He's not that tall.
You didn't give a fuck about paying
Stop,
me
chill.
away for months.
Okay, hold on, chill.
Wait, that was so good. That was so good.
Nothing was.
Stop. You should let Steven. In another ethical concern of mine is that he allows people to run interference for him if they have ethical concerns. So a conversation like this should be, I think, if I say, hey, I don't think you're treating your orbiters well, I think that Steven should clear out the space and say, okay, anybody who wants to talk about how you think I'm not treating my orbiters well, I'll hear it out. I don't know if I'm going to agree with you. I'm not going to agree to change anything right now.
Oh shit!
I'll hear you out. I think that's fair.
Fuck off.
This relationship where I have so much power over you, so much power over your reputation. I should hear it out.
I guess the biggest thing is that he never asked to be in this relationship with you to begin with. But the second thing, we've already basically run circles around that, is that the way that you're also talking about the other people that are not you, it's extremely condescending. You're saying like, oh, everyone else who's like, defending over him or whatever is like a sycophantic, like a orbiter, etc., etc.
Yes, I think you're sycophantic.
Call us bootlickers.
Yes, I think you're being bootlickers.
No,
absolutely.
I think
function right now. You guys are like white blood cells trying to affect and trying to kill an infection.
Is that you want to be in a little bubble with Destiny where you don't get any other criticism and you get to just say whatever you want to say without consequence. That's what you're asking.
Yes, it's called a conversation. The rest of the world calls it a conversation when two people talk to each other and then there isn't a bunch of other people like white blood cells swarming the conversation to defend one of the people. That's called a conversation. I'm trying to have a conversation with Steven. If you're not able to allow that to happen, then yeah, I'm going to call you a sycophantic bootlicker. Actually, Pixie, I was trying to talk to you, but then Steven jumped in and instead kind of took your place.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You're making, I guess you keep saying it's a conversation, but really what it sounds like is that you're making a list of demands because your feelings got hurt, which is fine.
Yes, it is a conversation in which I am requesting things of Steven. That's true.
I have one more question.
Those are not mutually exclusive.
Earlier, you said that when it comes to you and your girlfriend talking, and one of them says like abuse, but the other one has to shut the fuck up. that's not a conversation if one person has to shut the fuck up and just like not say anything, right? A conversation requires two people going back and forth.
No, you can have a conversation. No. I disagree with you. I think you can have a conversation in which a conversation about, for example, if you said,
"What was that?"
I'm really mad at you, and I said, "Okay, let's talk about it." I think there would be an expectation that you're going to be doing a lot of the talking, especially in the first half of that conversation. It's still a conversation.
Okay, so then I have a question. You feel like you haven't had enough time to talk for like the past like I don't know how often you've talked to Destiny in the past like weeks or days. Do you feel like you have not been able to get your piece across, or you feel like he hasn't given you the time to talk, or what's going on?
What's going on right now is that every time there's a single thread that we could follow in the conversation, someone helpfully comes in to derail it and change the subject. And usually it is in the form of attacking me, discrediting me, trying to make me sound like a hypocrite, trying to make me sound like a crazy person, or whatever. What I think Steven has an ethical obligation to do at this point is to prevent that from happening. He should say, guys, shut up. I want to hear what Max is saying. His feedback is valuable. I respect him as a person. He's my friend, and we work together. I want to hear what he's saying. I think this is important. But that's not happening. Instead, he gets to kind of be the good guy and be like, well, I'm listening to you, but God, all these other people just keep interrupting you. I don't know what's happening. I don't think that's right.
It was my impression that we heard your point and your request, and we
well, you have a false impression. We have not had a meaningful back and forth about. No, every single time I say something, somebody derails, and we've not had a meaningful back and forth where Steven has really engaged with anything I'm saying. A little bit we have, in as far as the definition phase, but as far as like me saying like I think we should set norms around people dunking on each other and tearing each other down, I don't think he's responded to that.
Well, Steven, what do you think? All these things come back to you not saying shit, so why don't you pipe up?
Well, you guys all are having so much fun having this conversation.
Yeah, but that was his complaint. So
yeah, I don't think. I mean, I have like reasonable norms that I set for conversations. We're not doing like racial slurs, or I try to avoid like excessive dogpiling. But like, I don't think I'm going to have different standards for different people based on the size of the audience. That just seems wholly unfair. Like sooner than that, I would just say no small streamers allowed in conversations with big streamers. That's what I would say, because I'm not going to sit here and let some people get away with some things and others not, just because they've got a smaller platform. That's ridiculous to me.
I think if you only talked to big streamers, there would be a lot less abuse of power occurring on your stream.
Okay, I don't want to be abused.
That is a solution, but I don't. Obviously, it would suck for me, but I think that's a good solution.
Okay, I disagree. I think that people, even of different sizes, should be allowed to talk to each other and disagree with each other and be mean to each other if they want to. And I shouldn't have to like say, well, hold on, stop. Now, I know that Lav called you an asshole, Abba, but you're way bigger than her, so you can't call her an asshole because you've got a bigger fan base. I would never be party to that conversation ever.
This is literally the record company argument.
What if you just said that neither of them should do it?
That's not. I don't want to run a daycare for streamers. That's not my goal. It's to say nobody can be mean to anybody. That's just not the style of conversation I do, I guess. People are kind of mean to each other sometimes. It just is what it is.
This is
my turn to derail.
This is exploitative. Exploitative.
Instead of having a conversation that like keeps instead of having a conversation where you like prescribe something for Steven, I think that this should just be like an open-ended conversation where you're like, just a reminder of like this is how I feel, and that's like all you can literally fucking do, which sucks.
Well, but he doesn't want to talk about just how he feels. He wants.
No, I'll talk about how I feel. I feel like shit. I don't feel good about our professional relationship. I feel bad about it. I don't like how I'm being treated. I really don't like it.
How can he treat you better?
Well, he's already said how.
Yeah, I mean,
well, like action points, I guess, to start. Okay. Like actionable things.
Actionable things. Stop saying bad things about me when I'm not there to even respond to it.
How does it make you feel when he does that?
It makes me feel misunderstood.
That's retarded.
No, Dan,
no,
stop. I think that this is important.
It makes me feel misunderstood, sad, and alone, and this anxiety that I'm watching the tide turn against me and there's nothing I can do. It is literally like 1984. It's literally 1984. I will have a conversation with you, and then after it's over, you'll just say that I said something that I didn't say, or you'll just say like, oh, you're doing the Max thing. Max plays word game. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, you were like, Max will say to somebody, he'll say something like, I'm gonna rape you. And then they'll get upset, and then his fans will be like, oh, well, you didn't understand what he meant. I know you're joking,
I'm not joking. You literally go that extreme. You say things that are so off the wall, and then you're quiet for like 30 seconds, and then
good.
Oh, Stardust,
So,
I feel
Steven,
like I'm
what if
Stardust, chill. This isn't the environment for you guys to resolve your personal differences, okay?
So I think
what
that
if
we're getting back
what if I
into
said
prescriptions.
yes?
I think
No,
that I think
I don't. What if I said that is as extreme as I'm going to rape you?
What have you said? I don't know if I can think of something right off the bat, but like earlier, the conversation.
Could you think? No, take your time. This is a long form format, long form conversation. Take your time. I want you to take as long as you need to defend what you just said. I say things that are actually as extreme as saying to someone in a conversation, "I'm going to rape you."
What are things that you said? Did you not say in the Stardust conversation that you feel like you're raping her in the conversation?
I did say that.
Okay, I think that you use phrases and terms like that sometimes that are really extreme.
Do you think I feel like I'm raping you is as extreme as I'm going to rape you?
Okay, maybe it's not exactly the same, but the
okay. That's all.
You guys are getting a little stuck. You guys.
No, we're not stuck at all.
Okay,
No, we're making progress.
I want to get on track. So let's make progress. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. When you say something like that, I know you're making a joke. It's a slight exaggeration, but that done over and over and over again paints a picture of me as somebody that I am not. I don't know how to explain it. I was just watching myself in real time. My reputation and the audience's ability to understand and know me be destroyed.
Okay.
And I hate it. I really
that's fine, but you do it to yourself as well, right? Where you make an extreme statement, and then
that's my right. It's my right to make people confused about who I am. I don't like it when you do it, though. It fucking sucks.
Okay, my brain won't be able to engage ever, and I think I'm the only person on the internet that would ever be able to. But if you can find other people, I can't do it. If you're gonna constantly say off the wall shit like Dr. K's engagement with Reckful is worse than raping Reckful, or saying that Britney was like a Nazi.
That's off the wall. I don't think it's off the wall.
Fine. Then I stand by everything that I just said earlier. Then
I think it's really pointed that you bring that up because what I'm saying is when you have a power differential with another person, there is an extreme amount of responsibility that I place on the person with more power. With Dr. K.
No,
and with Reckful,
that's what you just said now. That's what you just said now. It's an extreme power.
With Dr. K and Reckful, let me finish. With Dr. K and Reckful.
We don't need you to explain what you mean. We all know what you mean. I don't know why you want to waste time and re-explain what you meant. We all know it. I agree with what you're saying.
Because you are sneaking in something about me that's a fucking lie, and I want to clear it up.
I'm not sneaking in anything that's a lie. I'm telling you what you
explain it.
We already know what it means. We agree. I agree.
Then let me explain what I think you're sneaking in.
Okay.
What you're sneaking in is that I didn't really mean that. What you're sneaking in is that I'm saying something in a crazy, zany way that I'm not sincerely actually saying.
That's not even true.
And that if pressed about it, I will back off of.
No,
so
that's not even what I've said. I've never. The characterization I give is that you'll say something like, "I'm going to rape you," and then you'll pause for a moment, and they'll be awkward, and then you'll be like, "When I say rape, obviously the definition that I'm using is, I'm going to take advantage of this conversation," or you'll say something completely off the wall, and then you'll give.
Yes, that's a walk back, but I haven't walked this back. I think what Dr. K did with Reckful is worse than rape.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just don't have the brain. Max Spencer, right? I just don't have a big enough brain to engage with topics, I guess. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
I think that you have a blind spot when it comes to responsibility.
Absolutely. You're so... Stop. Okay, hold on. No.
Let me finish. No, let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying. I think you have a blind spot when it comes to interpersonal responsibility when one person has more power than another person. I think you have a blind spot about Dr. K. I think you have a blind spot with you and your own orbiters. I think that you don't understand the amount of psychological devastation that you can cause in some of the same people who are defending you right now, who have been raked across the coals by you. I think that you, for some reason, will not actually sit and think about this, which is the same reason that you will not allow it to be done with Reckful and Dr. K. But I do think what Dr. K did to Reckful is worse than rape. I think he harmed him more than a rape would have harmed him. I think it's more egregious and more selfish than it is to literally actually rape someone.
I think a perfect example of this is the Anna situation.
I'm actually about to nuke you from orbit. Lav, this is one of the things where you're too young and actually stupid to even begin to comment on. If you do this, I'm gonna I will actually lose my shit. Please stop. I already saw your clips talking about it, and I will lose my fucking mind if you try to make an example of this. I'll actually lose it.
Okay.
I'm already losing. I already have lost it. Don't, please, holy fucking shit, stop.
Okay.
Go ahead, Max.
I'm not gonna press. Wait, I'm not gonna.
I love you, Lav. I'm sorry. Sorry.
I'm not going to press you on that, but you do see like an extreme amount of resistance to certain criticisms, right? If you're saying you're going to stop, you're going to move it from. You're saying you're going to.
Let's do it. I changed my mind. Let's do it. Hold on. No, sorry. Hold on. I completely changed my mind. Lav, I give you permission. Go. Dude, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Bring it up. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go ahead.
Before you respond, I don't want to have judoed you into having to listen to this.
No, I want to. I'm excited. Let's go.
But your first response to it was, "I'm going to cut ties with you if you press me on this."
Listen, he thought about it.
I thought about it. You're right.
I was wrong. It doesn't matter what he said after he thought about it. I just want it to be acknowledged that when Lav says, "Hey, I think you mistreated this person really publicly, and I want to press you on it," his first response was, "I will cut ties with you."
I have the right to do that. I don't even know if Lav benefits that much from being on my platform. No, you're saying I don't. You're saying that as part of my response. You're playing the fucking word game again. You're so abusive with the way that you talk, okay? You're doing this double speak where you're like, you have the right to do it, but you're arguing that I ought not to do it, okay? You know what I mean when I say that. Stop trying to dance around the 3 or 4 different definitions you can describe a word at any point in the conversation. You're saying that I ought not to act in a certain way, and I'm saying I can't do that. And you're saying, well, technically you can do that, but that's not what we're talking about. Hold on, stop. You're telling me that it is unethical for me to tell Lav that I don't want to have that conversation with her because it's an abuse of my power. Can you give me a yes or no to that? Or you can use a sentence, but explain what if I'm allowed to do that.
My question was, do you acknowledge?
I don't know why you're asking me a question. I'm asking you, is it ethical for me to tell Lav, I don't want to talk about that, or I'm going to kick you off of here? Is that an ethical thing for me to do, or is that unethical? Answer that question.
I don't know.
Oh.
Can I explain?
Can
I explain?
Yes, do.
Can I explain?
Yes, explain it. I want to hear it.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, go. I'm sorry, because earlier it seemed like you implied exactly that, but go ahead.
I know. Let me explain myself, and
explain
maybe you'll understand.
Okay. Help me.
My question was, do you see that is a very defensive reaction? That was all I asked. And you said, but I have the right to do it.
What are you implying when you say defensive?
Wait, stop. Nothing. I'm actually asking you.
You're not implying anything?
Let me finish explaining this to you, because I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not your fucking enemy. I'm not trying to tear you down. Let me explain this. This is nuanced and complicated, and I'm sure you'll be able to understand it if you just shut the fuck up for a second. When I asked you if you acknowledge that it's defensive, that's not me trying to say you being defensive is automatically disallowed or a bad idea. These are personal relationships that you have with all of us, and she's bringing up another personal relationship, and it is emotionally provocative for you, and there are genuinely good reasons that are non-abusive for you to be like, I don't want to fucking talk. I don't want you to bring this up. Stop bringing up all of my like past everything all at once. I don't want to do all this at the same time. If you want to have a separate conversation about that another time, we can blah 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 blah. But don't dogpile me. I think that's totally responsible.
That's great if that's what you would have said. But what you said after having
a
Jesus. We got it. You guys have to. You and Lav need to figure out how to explain shit way faster. Okay. I don't want the 52 sentences restating the same shit over and over and over again. That's one of the reasons why we're not fucking
up and let me finish, motherfucker.
Circling. I've already gotten the gist of what you said. I understand what you're saying. But what you're not understanding is that when you say that, can you understand that you're getting defensive there?
It could be abusive.
Oh my god.
It could.
That's not the implication, dog. The implication is that I am abusive, that I don't understand these power dynamics, and that I'm leveraging my platform in order to abuse the people here. And when Lav tried to bring something up that she felt was a legitimate argument, and I said, no, I don't want to do that or I'm nuking you, you're going, Destiny, can you please just acknowledge that you literally exemplified my chief criticism of you? That is exactly what you did.
What I'm saying. That's not
okay. Can you acknowledge? Okay, fine. Then you're not saying that, Max. I agree with you. Can you acknowledge that 99.999% of people that would hear it would take it that way?
Yes, because you interrupted me before I could make my point. Yes, if you stop me from saying something and then you say something stupid.
Your point was you just wanted me to acknowledge it.
You replace what I'm saying with something stupid. Then yes, they're not going to understand what I'm saying.
You literally were saying. You said acknowledge it.
This is a complicated idea
go for it.
that a lot of people in your audience are too dumb to understand, and I need you to let me flesh it out a little bit. There's no single instance that is going to exemplify police racism. We don't know why George Floyd was killed. We don't know what would have happened if he weren't black. There's no single instance that is going to exemplify an abusive dynamic. It is a constellation of occurrences and behaviors, and no single thing is going to prove anything. You're going to have a justifiable explanation for every single data point. But my point is, I just want to say, as far as we're talking about this, I want to bring up the question of, is it right for you to shoot down allegations of abuse by threatening to nuke people. I don't know if it is. I don't know the answer. But I just want you to be
there's
thinking
the
about
chance
it.
that you don't know the. I have thought about it. Here's my thoughts. If somebody wants to discuss something that is private, personal, or uncomfortable to discuss, I think I have a right to say, I don't want to talk about that. I don't know how much more I need to think about that. Can you guide me in that conversation to where other answers could be? Well, actually, Destiny, no. In some cases, you are forced to sit there and endure what was arguably one of the most unbelievable arcs of your entire stream, and that's going to be right now. I want you to talk me through how else could that potentially have gone. Go ahead. I'll wait.
I think there's a few ways you could have approached that. One is you could say, listen, I understand if you think that I was abusive in that situation, but we're only hearing one abuse allegation at a time. All right? So if you want to talk about your feelings... I know. I'm saying Steven could have said this to you. He could have said, if you want to talk about your feelings or Max's feelings, that's fine.
Yeah,
but
I don't
Wait, stop. Let me answer his question. So that's one way you can answer it. Another way you can answer it is you could say, if you think that this is an example of a broader pattern, let's stick to other things because I don't want to talk about that anymore. I'm done talking about. I don't want to talk about her when she's not here. I just don't want to get into it, especially because I'm worried that it's going to actually affect her if we talk about it. There's a lot of ways for you to acknowledge the validity of her bringing it up, or just say you don't want to talk about it. You don't have to threaten to cut ties with her.
Okay. It's interesting that it seems like you're so excited and so happy to talk about people's boundaries and stuff and other circumstances. But if I want to draw a strong boundary here, like if you do this, I'm done completely. I'm not allowed to have that boundary because of the position that I've assumed as, I guess, the de facto like psychological rape victim because I'm all of your bosses that I never agreed to be. That's pretty insane to me, but okay.
Yeah, I think that the more guarded you are, or defensive, or boundary setting you are around people calling you out for what they perceive as bad behavior, then of course the more inherently abusive the relationship is.
The way that you just phrased that was just I just went just perfect. That was so beautifully done. Go ahead. I'm being sarcastic. It was just the way that you frame things is unreal. That like. That the idea of like my position is there's an incredibly dramatic person that you've been involved in that's had 2 years of insane interactions with, and Lab wants to bring that up in the middle of this conversation, which we can talk about now if you want to say that, oh, well, if there's something that is uncomfortable for you to discuss and you get defensive about that, that could be an insight that you're actually the abuser in this relationship. The way that you phrased that was unbelievable, but okay.
What I'm saying is every time I try to call you out for anything, you get really defensive.
That's not true. I'll have a conversation with you about anything.
You're doing it right now.
It's over her bringing up another person's incredibly complex drama, and I've already heard her thoughts on it.
But when I said that just now, you could have been like, give me an example of me being defensive and guarded. But instead, you start screaming at me that it's not true.
Because you're implying that I'm being abusive by telling someone I'm kicking them off if they do something, and then you're saying, well, I'm not implying that at all. There are other ways that you could have brought it up or whatever, when you absolutely are implying that.
No, what I said is the more guarded you are around criticisms, the more definitionally abusive the relationship is going to be. That's just how it is.
That's not just how it is. You're giving this is like abuser 101. If you're trying to criticize somebody and they're being incredibly defensive about it, that's because they're in the wrong. And you have a right to have your criticism heard by that person. And if they're getting more upset about it or emotional about it, they're even more wrong about it. The more guarded a person is when you're trying to extend into their comfort zone, the more correct you are and the more incorrect they are. That's an unbelievable statement for you to make.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have power over other people, the less feedback you hear from them, the more... What the fuck are you doing, Laugh?
Sorry.
If you have power over other people, the less criticism you're willing to hear from them, then the more abusive the relationship will be.
Okay, I think there are certain types of criticism that you don't necessarily have to hear from people, but okay, all right.
Is it my turn?
No, Laugh. What did you want to bring up? Go for it. Yeah.
So one thing, I think that we're using like big words like abuse, and I think that we should probably avoid that when we're talking amongst friends, because I think that you're both trying to paint each other as like somehow, or maybe not trying to, but what
I think it's important
is, like,
to call out
the other person as an abuser.
I disagree.
I just don't think that that's helpful, because when you put out a word like abuser, they're way less likely to take like even look at what Max is saying, and you're effectively doing like what Max is asking you not to do.
Okay, I don't think Steven is an abuser.
No, I don't think that you do.
I think our relationships are set up by the platforms in such a way that they're totally unregulated, and it's just there's going to be inherent abuses of power. I think Steven would have to work really hard to try to push against the inherently abusive
With
nature
great power
of the setup.
comes great responsibility. This is why I was going to bring up the Anna thing. I don't think that you did anything on purpose. I don't think that you abused Anna.
Hold on, actually, I'm gonna let you dive into this. I'm gonna let you stop. I'm gonna let you dive into this, Lab. But Lab, for the public record, can you confirm or deny? Have I had like personal conversations with you saying things that like, if you're comfortable talking about this or whatever, like if you want to chat about this, I'm not gonna hold anything against you. Blah 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 blah. We've had those explicit conversations, right? Or am I making that up?
Wait. What about? Wait, sorry, what?
Have we had explicit conversations offline where I've talked with you about like if you're comfortable with being on my stream, like that's cool or whatever, or you don't have to come on and chat or blah blah blah? Have we had these conversations privately, or has that never come up before?
Of course, I know what I'm getting into when I'm entering your home.
Sure. Okay. I just want to be clear. I'm not just like saying like, hey, come join this and see what happens. Like we've explicitly talked about like these are the pros, these are the cons, these are what happens. Like I have these conversations. I'm pretty sure with Pixie, I think I've had that conversation too. I've explicitly generally had conversations with people. It's like, hey, sometimes the audience can get rough, sometimes it's gonna happen. Like if you do or don't want to talk about this, I'm not gonna hold this. Blah blah. I just want to be said that I do have these conversations offline with you.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I think that the problem is that you don't understand that your platform is like a magnet because of like the level of like fame and attention, and also like
of
that
course
many
I
people
understand.
misunderstanding you and understanding you like becomes very addictive, and
Hold
it
on.
seems like you actually don't understand. Like I think
No, stop. I'm going to say something. Hold on, stop, because this is my whole career. Of course I understand that. How could you even imply that I don't? Obviously, there's going to be a certain level of exposure that people like enjoy when they come onto platforms like this. But I mean, like, I can't do it. That's the responsibility of you to manage, unless I feel like somebody is engaging with it in an incredibly irresponsible manner. Like you're coming on and you're being self-destructive over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, okay, well, this is probably not a healthy way for you to engage. But don't say that like, oh, I don't think you understand what it's like. Of course I understand. I've been doing this for 12 years.
Steven,
Go ahead.
You're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying. Listen, I understand that you're obviously in defense mode because I think that Max is going pretty hard on you.
I'm not in defense mode. I'm in super jovial mode.
No, you absolutely are.
Okay, stop. Then don't talk to me. If you think I'm too retarded because I'm in defense mode, then don't talk to me. I can't even hear you. I'm too defensive right now, Lab. I'm sorry. I'm too defensive. I can't understand what you're saying. Max can talk to me again if he wants.
I think that it is a normal human response to be defensive in this moment. I don't think you're overdoing it. I don't think it makes sense.
I'm not defensive. I've thought about these topics for years before either of you were either into doing any of this thing for them. So for both of you to come in and be like, I don't think you've ever even considered for a fact what the power differentials are like. Obviously I have. I've thought about all of this a lot.
Steven, I know that you do. I know that you do. I think that, like I just said, I think that Max is going very hard on you. I think that he probably agree that you do a lot to quell it.
Okay. Why are you running? Hold on. Max is not even going very hard on me. I think most of what he's saying is reasonable. Max could probably be a lot meaner if he wanted to be. I don't think Max is going super hard. We're just having a heated discussion. And obviously he disagrees with some things I do. But Max is not like, I don't think Max is going super ultra hard on me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just going to disagree with everything you say. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
That's
getting
right.
like
Yeah,
weird
Matt, how does it feel, Lab?
commentary.
How does it feel, Lab? I hope it feels
don't know
real
what's
bad.
going on.
Yeah, good. If you start crying again, turn on your camera. I'm going to watch it, okay?
What the fuck is happening?
I love you guys.
Sorry,
you were
where
saying
were we,
something
guys?
about abuse, Lab, and
No,
and
I was
how
saying.
that he didn't think he abused. but
She was
go
saying
ahead.
okay. I think she was picking up off of what I was saying. Where I'm not trying to say that you're an abusive person or that you are an abuser. I'm saying that the relationship, the setup of the relationship is almost inherently abusive, and that you would have to fight really hard against it and put protections in place. And I don't feel, for myself, I don't feel those protections are being put in place. I feel like banning my fans and banning me from your subreddit was one pretty strong
Hold
example.
on, Mr. Girl, you're.
Well, I don't
listen,
want to
wait.
hold on. I want to finish what I'm saying, motherfucker.
I know, but Lav, you really got to finish on this Anna stuff because that's like a super, like that was a crazy thing to say. You think?
Did you hear what she said about her on stream?
No. Like, good Lav. I want you to flesh out your position right now. Don't feel fearful, but like say what you
I
mean.
want to finish what I'm saying.
You
Then
will go
can-
next, Mr. Girl. Come on, you know you have 80% of this. Just wait.
Steven just
wait,
asked
wait,
me
wait,
to
wait,
finish
wait.
what I was saying.
No, he
I
takes
don't
it
want
back.
to-
Take it back, Steven.
No,
I take it back.
I don't want to do
He
this.
took it back.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Okay, let
This
Mr.
is
Girl
what I'm
finish.
talking
Go
about.
ahead.
All right, you better be quick. Go.
Choose to lean into it. Every Mazda is engineered to give you effortless control.
Every Mazda.
This is not quick.
I think that when you play good cop, bad cop with your mods and let them fucking smear me and ban me and silence me, I understand you're not doing that intentionally, but it comes off like you're like, well, I don't know what they're doing, blah blah blah, while they're fucking me, and that's one example. And then there's other stuff like what you saying that I would tell somebody I'm gonna rape them and then walk it back as like, oh, I was just saying an interesting idea when I would never fucking do that. Feels like you are not like those are, I understand why you're saying those things and doing those things, but it feels like you're not proactively trying to prevent harm from being done to me. It feels like you're letting bad shit happen to me, and it hurts, and I'm mad, and I think it's wrong.
Okay, I have to go quickly. I'm just gonna give my final thought on this very quickly. It just seems like you guys are trying to absolve your personal responsibility of what you say and like the impressions people are gonna have and like the reactions people are gonna have.
He's saying I said stuff I didn't say. That's not like I don't. It's not personal responsibility. If Steven's like Max says things like he tells people he's gonna rape them, and I'm like, well, I never said that. And he's like, yeah, okay, but basically you
not
did.
The exact
like, no, that's not me trying to absolve myself of
Max,
responsibility for stuff I said. I didn't fucking say that.
You say extreme things that other people.
Okay, but you can't swap just because I said an extreme thing or thing you find extreme.
The thing
doesn't mean you can swap it out. Doesn't mean you can swap it out for another thing that's also extreme and be like, yeah, they're both pretty extreme. And you basically you haven't told anybody you'll rape them, but you basically did. You basically
you talked about rape.
Are you leaving? Pixie, this is not a I'm leaving thing. Come on.
Okay, let me finish. What I'm saying is that when you say extreme things or extreme sentences, those are prone for people misinterpreting them or for people not like understanding exactly what you said. And you have a responsibility for the words that you say, and it just looks like both
you. I do, but I don't have a responsibility for things that Steven makes up that I didn't say.
My final sentence, Max. Let me finish, and then you can go off. So you guys are trying to put that responsibility onto Steven because he has a bigger platform, and you're trying to make him responsible for the reactions that happen across his platform when you guys share responsibility too. When you guys say something extreme, when you guys say something stupid, when you guys say whatever, yeah, like part of that responsibility of how people respond to that is onto you. And you can't just pretend that because Destiny has a bigger platform, oh, now it's abusive if he's not doing a perfect job at regulating it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I gotta go.
I don't think Steven making something up that I didn't say is
Hold
really
on, bye Pixie. Can we get another
for that? I don't think that's me saying he's not doing a perfect job at regulating it. I'm saying he literally just made something up that I didn't say.
Bye Pixie. I hope that we're gonna make sure that we get round 2 of you and Mind Waves. Me and the King here are gonna we'll get that going soon. We just gotta get Mind Waves back in the fold. So
there's just something I have to confess to real quick. Destiny, as your actual employee, that is actually employed by you. I feel so abused by
Stop! You're not contributing anything positive to this. Stop! Leave! Bye. I hope your bees die.
Okay. Good. Now, Lav.
Wait, I want to acknowledge that was like actually like a
no. Hold on.
That was
one
was
thing
good.
at a time.
I think that was nice that you
Great.
that you did that.
Did what?
Wait,
I think it. Yeah,
Ooh.
I think that was actually very like responsible. I think that that's literally what Max is talking about. And I think that if you make like little behaviors like that, I don't think Max is asking for like you to change your whole outlook, but I think that he's just like, I want to see some effort that you are like trying to protect me from being like a lolcow or all these things, because I think he also sees you as his friend. And so to some degree, I think that he wants you to take responsibility for his, not his happiness, but for you to feel like you want to protect someone that you care about. I think is a very normal human feeling.
I hate to bring it back here because it feels like there's a little bit of dodging and whatnot, but we need to get back to your comments on how Steven handled this situation.
I know you love this.
Well, yeah, so do you want to avoid it? Because you talked about it on stream. If you don't want to talk about it again because you feel what you said was wrong and incorrect, you can say that. We can move on and say nothing else.
No, it's not that I feel it was like anecdotal in the moment, and it was going to be like, I don't think that Steven, you realized like that it was going to become bigger than you immediately after it was like platformed and made public. But then it snowballs. And then now a year later, I'm getting hordes of people joining my stream from DGG trying to kick it up with me a year later, someone who was not involved whatsoever. Like it becomes something that is so much bigger than you that you just like, you need to exert extra effort And I know that that sucks, but extra effort to make sure that it doesn't get to that point. Like, by explicitly being like, any mention of this in my platform or other people's platform, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you guys be uncharitable to someone. Like, I don't know. I think that there were, obviously, I think that you think that there are better ways that you could have handled that. I wasn't bringing that up as a gotcha, something that you haven't heard
I don't
before.
think there's a single thing I could have done differently. Wrong.
Okay.
That seems like an extreme statement.
Well, what do you think he did wrong, Lav? Like you said,
Okay, whatever. It was like a small piece of anecdotal evidence. You've been building it up like it was going to be this like extra drama.
Okay, well,
The problem, wait, hold on, real quick. The problem that I had was you were on your stream last night saying like, oh, she's like a totally normal person.
No, I said that she was obviously triggered by something.
Hold on, did you not say that she's just a normal person?
I think in her everyday life, she is normal.
What is this? Dude, you are a professional dancer.
Snaky is the term.
No, that's what I said. No, that's what I said. I think that she was triggered by you, and obviously she had a response that her mental illness would, exacerbate. But I think that
like by literally saying that, now you've removed her from the pool of normal people by saying mental illness.
I don't think that that's true. I think everyone has neuroses, but
do you think everyone is mentally ill?
In their own way.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, Lav. That's what I needed. Yes.
Wait, that's such a dodge.
No, it's not. It was so good. Oh, yes, I needed that. Thank God.
Okay.
Thank you, Lav.
No, I think, but you've got it. She's obviously not the worst. The worst moment that she's ever had is not her, right?
On my stream?
Yeah, like the craziest that she ever acted with you, and she was like crying or whatever. Like that is not how she goes day to day.
Just to be clear, you said that she was a good person and she was correct in her assumptions of what she said about Steve.
I never said those words, ever.
Okay, we can pull up the clip.
Yeah, you can pull up the clip because I never said that she was correct in her assumptions about Steve.
Okay, give us 30 seconds. I'm muting. We're watching.
Please don't bring her up. She will go off again, Lav. I don't think she will. I think that Anna is actually very normal, and I think that Steven was a trigger for her, but I think she is a very great normal girl, and I don't like the way that you guys talk about her. How do I get terminally online girlfriend? TikTok.
Yeah, you're right. You got me. Like, what? I literally told you exactly what I said. Like, what? You got me.
What is the implication? I don't understand how you...
What the fuck implication? I said don't come into my stream talking shit about Anna.
Okay, hold on. Lav, look at me.
No. I'm not gonna let you live this down.
No, I'm grabbing your face. I just want to have this one, just on this one
thing. Yeah, you're grabbing my face?
Yes, just on this one thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you point to a conflict between two people and you say on one side, I think that person is incredibly normal. Steven just triggered her, but she's like super normal and great. What do you think is the implication there?
Trigger for her.
What does that mean? Who was in the wrong?
You were in the wrong.
That's not how I think. That's not how I think. That's how you think.
Can I explain it, Lav?
No, I want to know, what do most people think when they hear that? What is the implication?
Appeal to most people? How the fuck do I know?
Okay, I just want you to say that while you're on here saying, Destiny, you need to have the greatest responsibility in the world of mind controlling your whole audience and protecting every single person. And then when it comes to Lav on stream, it's like, how am I supposed to know how the anybody thinks? I'm not a human. How can you have both positions?
I'm sorry, that is like fully not what I fucking did.
That was exactly. That's what you just did.
And also to say that 11,000 people watching is the same thing as 200 people watching.
It is because you're making a comment about me, and that's gonna reverberate around my community.
Mm-hmm.
The comment I made about you is just that you triggered her. Come the fuck on.
If somebody triggered somebody else, where does the responsibility generally lie?
The trigger.
The trigger? Not that you didn't necessarily do it on purpose. I didn't say that it was malignant or that you did it with malintent. You obviously just did something that triggered her.
But he did something.
It could have been unbeknownst to you. That's how.
Unbeknownst to you.
But it was his fault. It was an action that he took that caused it.
No, it was nobody's fault.
It was nobody's fault. Hallelujah.
This is why. Sorry, I had to say it. This is sneaky behavior. This is what.
Okay. I would like to say something. This is what I'm talking about. Where when there's interpersonal conflict, like with Stardust. Okay, I'm having a big fight with Stardust on my stream. Stardust is not defined as a crazy, mentally ill psychopath. There's no dog pile. There's no Stardust is like a terrible person. There's no she's an insane, crazy stalker who can't let this go. I don't talk about her that way, and my community doesn't talk about her.
Well, because
that way.
I don't think Stardust acted that way. She definitely made a huge fucking mistake, and it was definitely cringe as f***, and you're definitely right color on that, but...
Stardust tweeted out a video of me exposing my stomach and then said it was my pubic hair and then blurred it so that you couldn't see what it was.
Yeah, that's really bad, but that's far different than 1 to 2 years of extra online accusations.
Okay,
I'm not saying I'm not absolving her.
I'm just saying that in the way I talk about people, in the way people are defined on my stream, there doesn't have to be a bad guy.
Okay, well, on my stream, when Anna, 1 week ago, was saying I sexually abused her, I'm going to go ahead and say there's a bad guy there, okay? I think I might have the right to do that.
Yeah, well, Stardust a week ago was saying I sexually abused her, and I'm saying you don't have to do that.
That's great.
You don't have to say...
If Stardust said that about you after 2 years of stalking and harassing you, then I would say you probably could call that a kind of a crazy person.
I know, I could.
But you don't want to, that's fine. But that's your platform. That's what you can do on your platform.
I know. Okay, so we have different platforms. We already agree that my channel is different from yours. We already understand that. The point I'm making is I'm trying to explain what Lav is saying to you. What Lav is saying is that there doesn't have to be an explanation that either you or Anna is a mentally ill, terrible person.
There kind of needs to be. Because if both sides are making strong claims, for you to sit in the middle, obviously delegitimizes one side more than the other.
I think you're thinking content-wise.
No! I hate you. You just said that. I hate you. I hate you. Lav. I need you to say you understand that I hate you. Stop. Okay. Lav. It is not... I'm sorry, I don't hate you. It's not...
I don't... Okay,
it's not...
Steven,
no, it's not about...
I don't want to be the bad guy.
No, it's not about content, okay? If, let's say that there was a scenario where one person locked somebody in a fucking basement for 5 years and refused to feed them and beat the shit out of them every day, and then that person comes out and somebody's like, what do you think about that situation? You're like, man, it was really complicated, and I think somebody just triggered the other one, but I wouldn't say that one person was the bad guy there. How do you think the person who was locked in the fucking basement would feel?
Did you lock Anna in a basement? I must have missed that
I was locked in the basement of her psychosis. I might even still be there. I'm not entirely sure. I have to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Hold on 1 sec. I'll be back, okay?
Lav, I think you should just bite the bullet and say that if there is a narrative that our general agreement that one person is crazy, and then you talk about the situation in an even-handed way, it's going to come across like you're saying that blame lies in both parties. If blame for the abusive interaction lies with both parties. Now, you might actually think that, and maybe you guys have to have an argument about that. But I think Steven's saying that her behavior is so bad that to talk about it in a even-handed way is unfair to him. So I feel like
all the complexities of it. I didn't think it was that fucking deep.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way to push back against that is to just say I don't think she did lock you in a basement. I think it's more complicated than that. I'm not saying it's your fault or anybody's fault. I'm just saying that I think you participated more in the dynamic than you're owning right now.
I do feel that way.
I know.
I don't think that Steven is in the place right now where he's gonna hear me say something like that, and I think he's gonna tell me that it's manipulative and sneaky, and I don't want to put myself in that trap.
So you're going to be manipulative to not get called manipulative, huh?
Not manipulative, but I'm definitely I'm gonna choose my battles, I think. You got me. Oh no, from both sides. This is fucking horrible. I cannot win.
Wow, Lav.
Woman
moment.
I'm about to have.
Moment.
I'm about
woman
to have.
moment.
Oh my
woman
god,
moment.
Max.
Woman moment.
Oh my fucking god.
I'm just kidding.
Basement.
I'm just fucking with you, Lav.
I know you are,
Okay.
but the people
I know, but
watching.
I need the.
Hold on,
I know.
Max, the people watching.
I know. That's why I said that. I didn't say it for you. I said it for our some of our challenged audience members, so they can following along the conversation.
Acting so fucking autistic for what? For what?
Darius, chill.
It's like, how are you gonna repeatedly say that it's not equivalent? You are constantly being autistic. Constantly. Stardust being autistic once is a completely different realm than you going on stream every day. I wake up and acting like a fucking spurg. Just shut the up. Stop defending her.
Who are you talking to?
Both of you. I don't even know how you're defending her. I don't know how you're defending this thought process. I generally don't get it. I just don't get it.
Which thought process?
Labs.
Wait, what?
What thought process are you talking about?
When you're saying that it's not like when Stardust gets labeled as mentally ill or whatever for these autistic things, and Labs getting or Anna's getting labeled as mentally ill when it's like completely different.
What?
It's not like the same thing. Stardust fucks up. And it's like, okay, we fuck up. She says, oh, I'm sorry. She goes on to say, I'm sorry. She makes cringe jokes because she's a cringer who gives a fuck. But then Lav goes on and then
cringer.
Her stream every day. I'm autistic. Look at me. I do this too. I go, I'm autistic. Guys, I'm autistic. And I do this repeatedly on repeat. So much. And I know what's happening. Sometimes I get upset. Sometimes I tweet about it. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I get upset. Whatever. But at least I shut the fuck up. You know, I don't go on stream and try to defend myself. I don't act like a fucking spurg every fucking day. Just shut the fuck up.
Okay. You're saying that because the situation with Anna lasted so much longer, it's more fair to make a character assessment?
I mean, I guess, yeah, and it lasted longer. It repeated. It didn't just last longer. It repeated over and over.
So you're saying, therefore, it's more fair to make a character assessment about her than it would be to make a character assessment about Stardust?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's a fair
How did we not think of that at the start? That's what I'm saying. Like, how? I'm retarded. I didn't graduate.
Because it's not really relevant to what I'm talking about. Here's the problem: the more mentally ill somebody is, the less you should be shitting on them on your stream over and over again.
So why the fuck is Lav in here?
So the problem with calling somebody mentally ill after a two years long protracted public interaction with them is that if you really think they're mentally ill, that actually takes more of the onus away from them and puts it on you as the responsible party with more power, and the person who's making it public and platforming it over and over.
Steven let some fucking schizo retard come in here and talk about how she's getting raped by Discords every day. Nina or whatever. Steven lets anybody come on this fucking stream and talk. It's like it doesn't fucking matter. Here's the thing. He just lets niggas talk. I don't think that should be going on. It's whatever it is, what it is. But listen, Steven will do the he wants. He let me yell at Melina. You know, I don't know why he let me do that, but he did. And it's something he does. Why can't we just accept that and move on?
So it sounds like you could understand why if you're saying part of the thing you like about him is that he does things that could be portrayed as irresponsible, then you can understand why some of his friends would be calling him out on it.
Sure. But I mean, like, you came into this community and everyone came into this community with already that assumption. The reason why everybody's even here is because Steven's so easy to get on stream with and just start talking about whatever you want, because he just gives that off, because he's sitting there playing video games all day with no content, and he just lets people kind of just come on and chat.
Yeah, there's upsides to that and there's downsides to it. I think one of the downsides is that once you're in the community, once you're part of the harem, then you start feeling like getting dogpiled repeatedly in this cycle, and like you can be self-referential and like acknowledge it and make jokes about it, but it's fucking terrible to watch your credibility tank every few weeks or every couple months, and have his finger on the scale making it tank, where he's banning people who defend you, banning people who like you, banning you from the ability to even communicate about it or talk about it in a way where his audience is going to hear it. Or you can come on, but like if you come on, the deck is so stacked against you when you're talking to him anyways. So like, yeah, you can come on, you can be on the show, but eventually your role will be solidified as some form of loser or retard after enough time goes on, and it sucks. And I don't like it, and I don't think it should be that way. So I'm complaining about it.
Yeah, take it up with forethought. I gotta go.
What is it? My turn now? Wait, did I do it?
No, it's Darius. Well, I don't think is Steven even here.
No, he's in the bathroom.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, from a viewer perspective, do you understand that you're basically telling Steven to pull punches to the people he's talking to, and that fucking sucks as a viewer?
You can. Do you think I pull punches?
Yeah, I do think sometimes. I mean, you try to frame things in like an overly charitable way sometimes, and I think kind of the appeal of Steven is like why many people watch him is because we feel like he's gonna be like brutally honest with people. Like nobody wants to watch Steven talk to somebody who's clearly being fucking stupid and then not saying that they're being stupid. Like that then just feels bad as a viewer.
I think there's probably a way to call people stupid in a short term or less meaningful way, but then I think if you're going to do that, you have to give people an ability to fight back. You have to not ban people from the subreddit if you're going to do that. And I think you have to you got to do other stuff to make it more fair if you're going to punch down. But he's not doing any of the other things that you would do to mitigate that either.
But isn't coming on the stream and talking your case the fighting back, right? Like I don't think Steven is gonna call people stupid, or at least I don't think the viewers are gonna like if Steven calls people stupid when they're not being stupid.
Yes, but he does so many things to make it impossible to do that. So like
get on stream and talk.
Yeah, you can get on stream and you can make noise with your mouth, but you can't actually get a thought out without somebody interrupting you or somebody derailing you. Then Steven derailing from the person who derailed you, or Steven himself saying, yeah, you said you would threaten to rape somebody, and then being like, oh, maybe you wouldn't threaten to rape somebody. I don't know. Let's watch the clip. And then you're like, well, the clip didn't say what you said it said. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter what it said. That doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Just like an endless stream of evasive derailments, so that you never actually get to feel like the shit I want to talk to Steven about would probably take 20 minutes if we were off stream.
No. That's insane. Taking 20 minutes to have a conversation? That's actually
you should watch me have a conversation with somebody who's not actually trying to not understand what I'm saying, or who is not able to, and then I think you'll find that I'm actually pretty.
I think
that's something no one's ever seen before, so I'm excited.
I think it's a fair point, Max, because I think a lot of the people in here just fucking hate you, so it makes it hard. But
wait, hold on. For the people in here that fucking hate him, probably Abba. I think Dan 50-50 and Forethought for sure. But I think Lav is a strong Mr. Girl supporter. I don't hate Bex.
Stardust and Cherry also were here.
I don't hate him. I'm equal.
Dan is an agent of chaos, so I think Dan is actually pro Max.
Okay, but Steven, we do acknowledge, Steven, that if we were not on stream, this conversation would probably be a lot shorter and more concise.
Oh yeah, of course. But you joined when there were like 6 people in here, right?
Yes, that's true. But yeah, I think we both have. I mean, we're not just talking to each other, obviously.
Sure, so. I have no problem with you joining, by the way. But I mean, obviously, you came in with a ton of people here, and then to back up Lav in an argument, so of course it's going to snowball into some crazy shit, right?
Yeah. First mistake. Defending me.
I know.
Lav, I won't defend you, but I'm just going to say you're walking into a trap. Don't do it.
Stop. Forethought. Leave. Go take care of your bees.
By the way, Max, if that's the solution you wanted, why didn't you just ask Steve? Like, would you say no to that, Steven? Like, if he said, "Hey, do you want to talk about this for like 15 minutes off stream?"
Yeah, that's fine. I think Lav earlier asked if she wanted to talk off stream. I was like, yeah, sure.
No. I know.
Wait, so why don't you just do that if that's what you wanted? I don't understand.
Because
there's two separate conversations that need to be had. There's a personal conversation that is to have obviously me and Steven, or Max and Steven, understand each other on a more personal level away from everyone, and then there needs to be a public conversation, unfortunately, because now there's like a third beast where I think that Max and I both feel like we need to be heard to some extent. Lay it all on the table, take it or leave it.
Yes, I feel like I'm getting dogpiled, and it's so hard to fight back against, because the problem I have is that I have so little ability to write the narrative about who I am and what's happening and what role I'm playing, because Steven has like 99% of the power. So I am trying to use my 1% to throw my little pebble in the river and say like, well, I stood up for myself. I tried.
Is it Steven you want to talk to, or is it his community? Right? Because like
it's both. It's both. I want the community to see how I am talking to him.
So then ask for a one-on-one conversation on stream. Or?
Yeah. I probably should have done that.
I mean, okay. Well, good luck.
I probably should do it. Steven, do you want to have a one-on-one conversation about this sometime?
Absolutely, whenever you want, buddy. I'm just waiting for... Right now I have to go do a Red Pill show real quick, and then I need to get off by 10 because I can't stay up for 12 fucking hours streaming every day. But yeah, Yeah, anytime.
All right, I'll DM you. We can set it up.
Gotcha. Any other?
Just don't ruin the stream content, Max. That's all I'm asking.
How did Max
Well,
ruin
I
the
think
stream?
that
Every time Max is
it's
here,
like
it's maximum content.
He's saying
Well, no,
that he's saying that if you're ethical, then it will be less entertaining.
No. What I said was that it feels like what Max is saying is that he wants you to pull punches, Steven, and
Can
like
you
from the
elaborate
people
on
you're talking
when
to,
you
if
said
if they're being
Destiny
really
struggled with
dumb,
the personal side
then
of
he
things?
wants you to not call them really dumb because you have like a responsibility. And I said that fucking sucks as a viewer. Like we don't want to
Yeah.
see you beat around the bush.
There's probably a way to. Okay, what I think one thing that Steven that you do that's really devastating is you'll say, I'm ultra charitable to you. I'm being really charitable to you. I'm being really nice to you. You're a dumb fuck. And I think the combination of I think if there was an acknowledgement that you're like, no, I'm gonna fly off the handle. I say crazy shit that I don't mean, blah blah blah. But I think if you paint yourself as not mean and then you say something really mean, I think that it has the effect of making the mean thing hit like 3 times as hard.
Yeah, but if
I'm okay with that. The mean thing should hit 12 times as hard because you've gotten to the point where I'm being mean to you.
That's what we want to see.
If you've gotten to the point where I want to be mean, and I've been so nice, then good, you've earned it.
Okay. So I believe that it may be possible for him to engage in blood sports, Dario, and put measures in place that would counteract the negative psychological effects on the people he's playing with. But I don't feel like any of those are in place right now.
I feel like I watched Steven content for a while, and I feel like that's like an implicit thing. Like when you come on his stream and you have like heated debates with him, like if he thinks you're being really dumb, he's gonna call you dumb, and everybody understand that's what's happens, right? So like,
sure, we can all understand something's happening, and I can still say, well, I think that the way he's doing this is bad for people, and that it should change a little.
well, sure, but it sounds like so maybe to use an analogy, right? You're saying if you want to do the Walmart thing, you're saying, well, you're coming to work at Walmart and you're a vegan. And then you're telling them, hey, stop selling meat because I think selling meat is immoral. And they're like, well, this fucking Walmart. the point is like that's what people come here for. Like
it could be. I don't think I'm asking for that extreme of a change.
So I think in theory I agree with a lot of what you say about like being ethical and stuff, but I feel like especially in this case with Lav, which was what sprung all of this on, I feel like that's pretty extreme what you're asking. I feel like everybody who was I feel like everybody who's watching the content is feeling that she is being very dumb and like inconsistent in her views.
That's because he is defining her that way. He doesn't have to do that.
That is absolutely not true. But go ahead, carry
That's
on.
what I believe.
You're
That's
wrong.
what I
If that's the case, then why is it that me saying she wasn't dumb for months didn't move my community on it? Here's what happened. For over a month, people are like, Lav is dumb, and I'm like, no, she's not. And then one time I call her dumb bitch, and they still say Lav is dumb, and you're like, that's your fault, Destiny. How does that make any sense?
I think the whole thing was your fault.
Okay.
Why?
Because I think that Steven is defined as the winner of almost every debate and discussion.
Because it's my stream, of course. And on your stream, people are going to
understand
define you as the winner. And okay, sorry. Go
I know. I understand that. Well, no, that's not true. On my stream, people don't define me as the winner.
Okay, then on my stream, that's not true either because there's times when my community vehemently disagrees with me. So
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's a way to do that doesn't throw the other person under the bus, but I think the way you do it or the way your community does it, the way you debate people, I can't define exactly what's happening, but I maybe it's just a thing where you're not proactive about steel manning enough. But I think you can communicate to your community that Lav is dumb without actually explicitly ever saying it.
because I disagree with her. Because I've said explicitly multiple times that I don't think she's dumb. And I've snapped at people for saying she is dumb. And not only that, because fuck that. Because honestly, if somebody told me, I don't care what you said, how have you treated her? I have had her on the stream multiple times to have in-depth, fleshed out conversations about what she believes, why she believes the things she believes. And I've explicitly told her, I think these are the problems people have. I do not treat her ever like a stupid person. There are people that I deal with that I treat like stupid people, and she is not one. Like, if you ask my community what my opinion is of Lab, they're either going to say he's a simp or, well, he has a lot of respect for her, I guess, because she's a developing person. No one is going to say, oh, Destiny thinks that she's really fucking stupid. That doesn't make any sense. None of my behavior and none of my words have sold that, ever.
Okay, well, I just disagree with you. I think you own a lot of your community's vitriol towards Lav.
Oh, okay.
And me.
I can't. I don't think I've ever disagreed
me.
ever with a statement in my entire life. But
yeah, and I think the way I'm portrayed in your community is you've signaled to your community that that's how they should view me.
So, am I just not allowed to share my views of anybody or anything? Like, because if I say something, I imply it, and then it's not good. If people don't like somebody because I've implied something about them that I've said that because of how I view somebody, or
no, I think it's more subtle and complicated than that. I don't think it's that you shouldn't say anything bad about anybody ever, or criticize anybody. I mean,
if I think that the way that you, so here's something I believe. I think that the way that you and Lav conduct conversations, I think resembles a lot of abuse or is abusive. If that's something that I believe, should I just never share that opinion or imply that at all? Is that just something I should never do?
You just asked me that. That's not what I'm saying. I think if you're going to say bad things about people, you should give them more leeway to push back. I'm banned from your sub, and anybody
who cares about the sub? Any of you are allowed.
I do. Wait, stop. I care about it. Okay. Stop. Don't tell me who cares about the sub. You read it. I read it. We all read it. I care about it. I am banned from being able to defend myself. So if you want, you got 99% of all the sway. You have all the power. You get to pummel me, punching down, and then tie my fucking hands behind my back and put duct tape over my mouth to boot. And still, in my last final moments, I'm still getting fucking posts with 700 upvotes. That's how fucking good I am at arguing. That's how good I am at challenging you. That I'm able to fucking fight back even when the odds are stacked against me that much, and you still have to fucking put duct tape over my mouth and cut my throat.
Or maybe
That's
it's just
up.
that a lot of my community disagrees on some things anyway, and it's not actually the massive circle jerk that you think it is.
Dude, you banned me and you banned all my fans.
After you declared war on us, and they were astroturfing the fuck out of the sub. Yes.
I can't astroturf your sub. All my fans are just your fans.
But it's my sub. When you guys treat the sub as your own and presented as opinions of like, oh, these are just like it feels a little bit like astroturfing, of course. And then when you're dictating to me how I ought to moderate it, like so that it maximizes your community's involvement to defend you in my subreddit.
No.
Yeah, of course that's how it feels.
No, it's not because I don't want to maximize my involvement. I want you to not fucking drag me across the coals and not let me respond. You get to shit on me.
I don't drag you across
the.
If I was like making Reddit posts shitting on you constantly, I can understand that. But like,
you don't have to. You just say whatever you want about me, and then all of your fucking fans will make 5,000 posts repeating what you said. You know, this is how I know. This is how I know that your community has lost its mind. Somebody made a post the other day that said, "Does anybody else think Mr. Girl's water jar is cringe?" That's how far it's gone.
It's like it's such a low bar.
That's how I know. That's how far it's gone. You guys are lost. But yeah, it's totally duplicitous and bullshit for you to sit there and be like, no, we can all just roll in the mud together, except you don't get to speak in the only forum where you can actually have any effective pushback. If you're gonna define me as your autistic, retarded little brother that needs you to translate for me every time I speak because I'm too mentally ill and lost and narcissistic to be able to understand how anybody else is thinking or feeling ever, don't you think it would be fair for you to at least let me fucking defend myself a little bit?
Well, the water jug.
Because it's this huge amplification.
Hold on, I need you to add addendums to all of this to defend yourself on the sub, because I let you come on a stream and talk about anything you ever want ever at all points in time, always. So don't be like you never let me defend. I just know you just got banned from the sub. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you let me defend myself on stream, but stream is difficult because you are in control of the flow of the conversation usually, or there's other people defending you or running interference for you. So on stream, it's not really.
That's not true. What you just said was wrong. First
You're interrupting me like right now.
Yeah, of course I am, because you just lied. Sorry, go ahead and finish, and then I'll.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think I'm lying, and you think I am. Guess who the audience is going to agree with?
There is a fact of the matter. We have had one-on-one conversations where no one is running defense. So that is not true, number one. And number two, I don't direct the conversation when it's a one-on-one conversation. We go wherever you want to go. Like, it literally happens.
It doesn't feel like it.
During the Nazi conversation, did it feel like I was in control for both of those Okay.
During the Nazi conversation, I felt, were pretty evasive, and you're just
evasive because you disagreed with me, just to be clear.
No, evasive because you were not answering my fucking questions. Like, evasive. Regular, the real meaning of evasive. But it's not, there's an imbalance because it's your stream and your audience. So when you're evasive, nothing happens. You get to just kind of like evade. And if I call you out on it, then I'm looping. But if I'm evasive and you call me out on it, then I was being evasive and you were being like smart. So it's like, yes, I get to push back on stream, but there ain't nothing like a blank page, just me and my keys and the blank page, and being able to just say what I want without you reframing it in the middle of me saying it, or you changing the subject, me having to chase you down a fucking rabbit hole of whatever, anything that I feel is happening. None of that shit happens. So like, yeah, I think if you're gonna talk to me, Mr. Gaslighter, wherever the fuck, I think that I should be able to defend myself unimpeded on the subreddit. I think that's fair.
Where are we at, Dan? I gotta take off pretty soon to do this show that I agreed to do 30 minutes ago. So,
what is the show?
It's some fucking show with Alex about red pill dating shit.
Fuck it.
I wasn't there yesterday because I was out of town. It's already fucking.
Why do you do this cringe shit?
I didn't know I was gonna be doing the Avengers for the 5th Infinity War tonight again.
Well, that's what you get when Papa Bear is back in town. You should have known. Real quick, Mr. Girl, your post about saying that you were right about him and normalizing Nick. You believe you were right and that was correct and he did that and that, all that stuff there. Like, more. There was pushback in that thread. How do you feel about that?
Pushback against
your thread, but yeah, well, no, against you, saying that you're wrong and you're delusional on that thread. Because I think there's a lot of contention with that thread specifically. Yeah, how do you feel about that thread in general?
I think. What do you mean? That's great. If you disagree with me, then you can respond. I think that's fine. What are you asking me?
Trying to think of the best way to put it, I guess.
Why am I banned from your subreddit?
Because you threatened to delete our subreddit by contacting Reddit admins.
They contacted me.
It doesn't matter. You publicly made a threat, and so if you threaten the existence of the subreddit or do anything to try to destroy my career or my ability to speak on any platform, you get banned from the subreddit.
I can't even defend myself. I'm not even a content creator. I don't even have a platform.
You can defend yourself, but if you threaten the existence, you make an existential threat to get me deplatformed, then obviously you're banned because we don't want you coming in and stirring up shit and then using people's responses to you to get me fucking deplatformed.
I just thought you stood for free speech.
I do. That's why you're banned, because you don't. And you're threatening the platform.
So much for the tolerant left.
Fucking kill me.
I mean, I was totally tolerant of you or anybody who agrees with you coming in and talking whatever shit you want. But if you're going to go on Steven's stream and threaten to get me banned, then yeah, we have to ban you. But no, you were not banned in retaliation for you banning me. You until then, as I told you in the subreddit, you're more than welcome to come, say whatever you want. But yeah, if you're gonna threaten to get me deplatformed, then like, yeah, fuck you, you're banned. As I think if I threaten to get your subreddit deleted, you should ban me. I think that would be totally fair.
You ever imagine yourself doing that?
Calling for me to be fired, like, that's fine though, right?
Well, calling for you to be, I said you should either be fired or been given different marching orders. That's not deleting Steven's subreddit. That's just.
Oh, I see. That's so nuanced. So, I was posing an existential
it's
threat.
very simple.
And you are just saying, hey, he could be giving you marching orders, but he should be fucking fired. I see now. I see.
Yes, I think you shouldn't do what you're doing. And but I don't think it's really your fault. I think Steven is enabling you, hiding behind your So
I'm gonna.
I don't really have a personal issue with you,
Mr. Girl.
Yeah.
You want something from someone, and that person's aware of that, which is Steven right now. He's not giving it to you. Correct?
I don't know. I think he's going to think about it, but so far, no.
I feel like you should use this information to your benefit, and then like figure out. I don't know. Make assumptions off this. Like sometimes, like. Not that this is happening here, but there's a statement I kind of live by in business, and it's like, if you give someone the opportunity, if someone fucks you in a small way, they're only getting ready to fuck you in a big way if you give them the opportunity.
True, Dan.
You feel super passionate about this issue. I feel like if you make your point, and if he doesn't agree with you, he just doesn't agree with you. I'm not sure it goes to a stronger level than that. But I don't know, are we going to be here forever, or what do you think the next step of this is? I guess
for us to have a pretty blunt face-to-face one-on-one, not face-to-face, but one-on-one conversation.
Do you feel that you'll be able to convince Steven to unban you from the Discord, or not the Discord, the Reddit? Sorry.
I don't think it's not. I think if I asked him to unban me, he'd probably just say yes. I don't think it's about.
I think right now that's not the case. I think well, you could try it.
Well, I don't know. I've never asked him.
It's probably gonna get abandoned there, dog. I'm keeping him permaban. Obviously, I didn't. Even
Yeah. It's not. It's the argument is not about whether he is going to unban me. I think if I DM'd him and I was like, dude, like, will you please unban me? He would probably just do it. The question, but it's a principled stand. I'm saying you should unban me because of the ethical implications around it, and I'm willing to stay banned as long as you don't agree with that. So
when you say his treatment of, like, it's basically the treatment of orbiters, essentially. Like orbiters are free content, and that he should be more responsible for the people on the stream. And when people are kind of going crazy, not only, well, I don't want to summarize everything you said. Do you think you're going to be able to get him to come around to that view, or are we just kicking the fucking ball down the street a little bit here for another future escalation? Because that's really the big thing.
I don't think Steven is going to make some grand gesture of capitulation or make some announcement of like, from now on, here's how it's going to be. But I think it is the most likely outcome is he will probably think about what I'm saying and either make small conscious or unconscious changes to how he treats orbiters or thinks about it down the line, or at least with me. I think it's unlikely that it will have no impact, but I don't know how much impact.
You know, whoa, hold up, Mr. Girl. We got the original Mr. Moisture in the house. What is up, Sir Orbiter Supreme himself? You know.
Yes. I've been away for a bit.
That's true. Where have you been?
Where'd you guys go last night? What food place?
Pizza.
Oh, Domino's?
Domino's. Oh, you think so poorly of me.
Well, I know times are tough for you, Dan.
No, they're not. They're fine.
Oh, business is a booming?
Yeah, business is booming.
I get
good pizza. But, you know, in general, things are fine. Had a long talk with Steve about, just all the stress and drama in his life and all the craziness and
I hear
whatnot.
he's playing the piano right now.
Yeah, and
That's
he
nice.
Just kind of hanging out, just chilling. What are you doing awake right now? Isn't it bedtime for you?
It's 9 a.m. Or it's 9 p.m.
Yeah, isn't that bedtime for you?
I'm an old man now,
It's the same
Steve.
time for us, actually.
What do you mean?
Same coast. Well,
I gotta.
Mr. Girl.
Is this over yet? Did you...
What are you here
won?
for? No one
I don't know.
won.
I just heard everyone's freaking out. I want to know who won.
No one won.
Oh,
we're all.
I won.
You know my brother say to me, Dan?
What?
When I try to open a door and it's locked, I try another door. He would say that to me to try to get me to quit screenwriting.
When I try to open a door and if it's locked, I'll try another one.
Yeah, he's saying, like, if you're getting a lot of resistance, you should just go do something
Find a different
else.
door.
You need to work on your Jewish accent. Is this the best one you got?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Dan, your Jewish accent is a Russian.
Here, do yours,
No,
Dan, do yours.
mine is way
Go ahead,
better.
go
First
ahead,
off,
go
his
ahead.
sounds just
Do
like
it.
a dead and diseased.
Tell us what your grandpa told you, Dan.
Okay.
Go.
When you go to find a door and it's closed, you find another one. That's a good Jewish accent.
All right, that's
okay,
acceptable.
that's not-
Do
that's not-
Japanese
I'm
now,
like-
Dan.
No, that's not how my grandfather talks. My grandfather grew up in the Bronx. He didn't talk like that.
Yeah. Why would you assume that people talk a certain way? Okay, I need to go do my thing because I hate my life.
Where are you going?
What?
Where
I think I said I'd do a podcast 45 minutes ago.
I love you too.
Okay.
I'll DM you.
I love you all. I love everybody in here. And Love.
Wait, Dan, when's our podcast happening, Dan?
Who the fuck knows?
Are you ready?
Maybe coming up soon. We'll
right,
see. All right. Well, see ya.
Yep,
Bye, Mr.
bye.
Girl.
I love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Then spell points on off. Need to take the these.
Being
I'll keep trying till I get it right.
part of a healthy community.
I'll keep that in mind.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm good.
What I'm
I
saying.
think it's worth labeling. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Rapey. Sure. But like the issue here is that like you can argue. Well, all I'm doing is asserting a boundary. I'm just saying that like if she doesn't want to fuck me, I don't really want to do it.
Let's see how it feels.
No.
Try it on.
I believe you. There's no. I am fixated on an event.
Conversation. Should we agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's your conversation, so you tell me whatever you want the purpose to be.
I want to. I don't like how things are going.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe you don't too, in some ways.
I'm just kind of floating on through.
Okay, well, I'd like things to change, and I guess worst case scenario is like if I don't like the way working with you is, then I'd like to just be friends.
Okay, gotcha.
So, people keep talking about like me attacking you or like turning into or son or trying to destroy your career or destroy you somehow, which I don't want. I want things to change, or I basically just setting boundaries. You know, there's like certain stuff happening that I just don't want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this to turn into.
Here's to you both resolving these issues. I'm a big.
You don't want this to turn into, say the last thing again? Sorry.
To a debate.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Can we agree on a premise?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure, go for it. Well, I mean, I don't know, but we'll see.
You can use Castle Relocation Heart to move your entire castle to a new character.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Okay. Fact 1. 2,
Where do you get a Castle Relocation Heart?
In the subreddit, nor can other people.
Is this the
castle? Can't post Civil War and everything. It's pretty hard for other people to, I'd say, right now. I think I'd probably agree with that.
Okay. So it is within your subreddit. It is behind my back dog pile.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay. You could stop that if you wanted to. You could stop the hands tied behind my back part if you wanted to. You could have unbanned me at any point, or you could have told Forethought to stop banning my fans at any point. You have not done that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have posted a total of 9 times in your subreddit. Made posts of my own.
Okay.
Starting 6 months ago. I think my first post was after the doll review. And that was my first dog pile in the subreddit. And I think I did a AMA. I was like, I need some control over the narrative, because like that was the first time I felt like you're really just writing a story about me that's like very unfavorable to me, and I was like, okay, I need a way to add my voice to this. You know, it's your subreddit, it's your stream, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So since then, I think every time I have felt like you.
Wait, hold on, real quick, just on that. You said you'd written some posts, right?
Yeah.
9 posts, but
yeah.
You're not counting the comments there, right? Just checking.
Right, I've commented a ton.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right, sorry.
But I've only written 9 total. 9 times I've been like, I need to tell a story.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't like the story Steven's telling about me. I need to tell my own story. And I think the way you've kind of taken the higher status position in most of our interactions has been okay with me. I noticed it like immediately. Usually, like there's never a conversation where you do a stream with someone and I come in and I'm like, buddy, Steven, let me tell you how you got to talk to people. Like you did this all wrong. Let me give you some pointers on like how to have a like human conversation. Like you're autistic. Like we don't have conversations like that, right?
Okay.
Do we agree on that?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Premise. Okay. So usually if we're having disagreement about communication styles. It's you telling me why you think I did something wrong or spoke to someone the wrong way, and you giving me your advice. And a lot of times you're like, it's not.
I just want to be clear. I
don't always
think, and I could be wrong, but I think every single time it's generally you've come to me for it. I'm not like messaging you like, hey, we need to talk about how you spoke to this person, right?
I don't think so. Like after the Lauren conversation, when you were telling me to rub the cat, like get the cat to roll over before you rub its belly.
Yeah, but I don't think that conversation started with me saying like, hey, you need to come on and we need to talk about how you talk with Lauren, right? Didn't I just
Well, you
kinda,
DM'd me asking me if you could come in and moderate.
Initially, I did because you guys got stuck in on thing, but
okay, right. But there's never been a conversation where I was watching you and then I DM'd you and I was like, Stephen, you need a translator.
I don't think you've done it explicitly. You kind of did with the lab stuff, but maybe you'd say that's a little differently because you felt like she was getting dogpiled. Although I could argue there was a translation thing on there, but sure. But I mean, I think for all intents and purposes, yeah. Obviously, there's one way that it tends to go. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay with me. I'm okay with you being my streaming big brother. You know, I'm all right with that. I don't need to be like the expert in our conversations. But sometimes when you come in and say, here's how things are, you'll say it in a way that starts a dogpile against me or in my point of view fucks me over somehow. And so it's been very important to me in trying to navigate this, figure out like how do I want to talk about other streamers, how do I want to communicate about it, how do I want to talk about like conversations after they happen. Like you've got the pre-talk, you've got the post-talk, you've got the breakdown, you've got the status in the conversation, and you've got the audience on your side. Well, with all that stacked, I've still been kind of okay with like, okay, as long as I can tell my story and have my essay, which are usually well liked, then it feels like I can handle the setup. But now that's been taken away from me. Oh, it was starting to be taken away from me, I think, when Forethought started just banning people for supporting me. And then like the narrative was like, there's a mod with a hate boner against Mr. Girl, which is obviously chilling, has a chilling effect on support of me. Do you agree with that? Not that it was banned, but that it's not encouraged for sure. Okay, so, I mean, I guess what it just comes down to is like, I feel that you are defining me unfavorably, particularly when we're in a disagreement with each other. And if you're gonna do that, I need to be able to be defended somehow. And so I heard what you said earlier where I'm saying that it's intentional and that there's no way I can get around that. Because if you're making the conscious decision to not delete good criticism of yourself, then you must be doing all this consciously. That's a good point. I guess I see it this way. You're not intentionally preventing yourself from like hyper defensive moderation. Like you're not, there's no like separation of powers where you're like trying to stop yourself from impulse banning people, like obviously. So I understand from your perspective, it's that some posts seem like bullshit criticisms of you, but in swearing, like, how does it have 500 upvotes from your own fans if it is truly bullshit criticism? I guess it just...
Do you think that the upvote system is a good way to foster the most intelligent type of conversation you can have on Reddit?
No.
Then why would I use upvotes as an indicator for whether or not criticism is good or bad?
I don't think I was saying good or bad.
you seem to imply that I'm saying some criticism is bullshit, and you're saying, well, how could it possibly be bullshit when it has so many upvotes? And then my question is, do you think upvotes are indicative of whether or not a particular post is good or bad, or criticism are good or bad? And you said, well, probably not.
No, they're indicative of they're indicative of resonance.
Okay.
And if a criticism resonates with your own fans, that is an indication that it's probably not bullshit.
Sure, possibly. But I could also just not want that criticism.
Yes. So that's a different idea than the criticism is bullshit.
I guess it depends on what you mean by bullshit. Like, because I wouldn't say the criticism is good or valid is the same as it resonates. There's a lot of things that resonate that I wouldn't care about, right? But sure, we can say that the criticism resonates for sure. That's probably the case.
Yeah, and I think even criticism that resonates, if you're going to create an environment that is fair to your orbiters.
Why am I creating an environment that is fair to my orbiters? I don't know what that means.
You're not.
Well, no, or why
that's
should I?
I mean, that's my whole.
Yeah, of course. It's not. It's my environment. It's not. I would never say that.
Why
like,
should you?
Yeah, my subreddit is a place where everybody can come for equal representation, have equal access to my community. Like,
that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so you said that I'm creating a subreddit that is unfair to a group of people that don't own the subreddit, which seems to imply that I ought to make the subreddit, the contrapositive is I ought to make the subreddit fair to most or all people. And then what I'm saying is, well,
just orbiters, not all people.
Say orbiters, yeah. But then my criticism would be, well, why would I do that? Or why would that ever be my why?
For two reasons. One, I think it's what's best for us, the orbiters. I think it's immoral to not do that.
What if it was at the detriment to myself? Do I have an obligation to run my community in a way that benefits people that interact with me that I feel is detrimental to myself?
I will answer that, but I don't think it is. I think what you're doing is already detrimental to yourself. So I think the two interests are aligned, but
can you provide, like, give me an example for that? Because on the flip side, and I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but on the flip side, I would say that I have one of the most successful communities on Reddit of any content creator, including those that are like 10 times the size of me. So I feel like something is working right.
You have a...
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, size-wise. Okay, wait, so what am I arguing that it's in your best interest to...
Well, you seem to be implying that, like, the moderation decisions that I'm making don't even serve my own interests. Yeah.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems to me that so far the way the subreddit's ran has been wildly successful for the sub.
It is, but compared to what it could be, we don't know. I mean, obviously the sub could be better, or the sub could
the
be
hypothetical thing you're comparing it to could be, you can't give me any other example of a subreddit that's like that. And in fact, I would even...
That allows...
Yeah, because almost every subreddit that is considered of high quality on Reddit has extensive moderation. Nazi-like moderation, some might even say.
I'm okay with Nazi-like moderation. That's not what That's not what I'm arguing against.
Hello? Okay. Oh, I just unplugged it and it's all fucky. All fucky now. Monitoring off. There we go. I fixed it. All betters. All betters.
I'm arguing against unfair
humiliates your
Alright, now what the fuck was I doing?
underlings, wherever we are, orbiters. You have moderation that specifically humiliates your orbiters and generates dog piles against them. A vicious dog pile.
Hey.
So I'm not. It's not that. Not the
Cannery.
moderation. It's kind of moderation that I'm against. It's not that you're intentionally generating dog piles. It's that you're not intentionally trying to prevent them. I think the kind of content and the kind of conversations we all have, you would have to go out of your way. You have to go above and beyond to protect your orbiters. And I don't think you're doing that. I mean, you're saying you're not doing it. You're saying
probably
why should
not.
I?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know if I would, but
Okay. So the reasons. Well, okay. What am I answering? Why should you, for your own interest, or am I saying what would be my take if it was somehow against your interest, but in the interest of your orbiters?
Well, one, I don't actually agree that it is in my interest. I don't think I even agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we can start on that one.
Whether it's in your interest?
Yeah.
A lot of the conversations you have with your orbiters are boring. People are sycophantic toward you. And I think my sense is that you dislike this. And I think that comes across in the streams. So while the subreddit health is different from the stream health, I think that if your orbiters feel like they have to suck up to you or become a copy of you or be ultimately a worse version of you, then I think that really impacts the conversations that you're able to have with those people. I mean, I've started using a derogatory term, white blood cell, when I'm having an argument with you or even a conversation and they start flooding into the room to just parrot whatever you're saying, and then you're playing video games and they're parroting you, and I'm like, do you like this? Like, how this not like why would you want to surround yourself with people who are afraid to disagree with you? And so
do you think that most people that have my opinions, do you think they're afraid to disagree with me?
I think your orbiters are afraid to disagree with you.
Gotcha. I guess it's possible. I don't know how either of us would prove it, but I think that the answer is probably like a lot more boring, and that's just that they all watch my content. I tend to do the most research on the issues I talk about of most of my orbiters, and then therefore they tend to kind of just have my opinions. There are exceptions to that, but the exceptions are the people that do more research than me, and they do tend to disagree with me on things. Like Roseburst is a good example. He's come on my stream and argued with me about things before, and he's disagreed with me things. I think Pisco's disagreed with me about things. Supreme has come on and disagreed about things because these are people that have specialized knowledge where they've done more research and they've come on and they're like, oh, you're wrong about this. But it seems like they have no problem disagreeing with me ever.
My view is that having orbiters who are also your fans hurts your content.
I mean, do you think that like ABBA is a bad person to jump in and talk to me, or Muda is a bad person to, like, I think all of my orbiters / fans have disagreed with me, I think at some point in time. Like,
I don't want to call anyone out specifically. I just want to call out a dynamic that I see where I see a filtration. Like, there are people on the internet who are well-spoken, interesting, and have heavy disagreements with you about really big topics that would probably turn into really interesting debates, discussions, high conflict streams where you'd be able to really, really hash things out with people. That I think those people are being turned away. So again, it's not that I'm trying to.
Can we think of, not to put you on the spot, but like, what's like an example of one of these people? I'm super curious. Because like I'm thinking like Pisco is probably one guy that I probably he actually even triggers the fuck out of me in chat. When I just see him type, I'm already triggered because I already know he's disagreeing with me. And he does it a lot. And I think he's probably one of the most overwhelmingly positively received people in my subreddit. And that's like a high conflict person.
Yeah, that's good. No, I don't want to give an example. I just want to, again, I mean, like, did you disagree with this idea that like you have a lot of sycophantic clones of yourself?
Yeah, I disagree. There are people that definitely they pick up my manners and stuff, but I don't think that it's to the point where they're scared to disagree with me. I don't agree with that dynamic. No.
Okay, so my sense that this like dreadful fog of boredom descends over the stream when somebody comes in to just kind of shoot the shit and agree with you about something. That doesn't, you don't.
Oh, that definitely exists, but I don't know if that's because people are scared to disagree with me. I think that's just the nature of like what I do in terms of political conversations. Like I'm going to tend to talk to people that agree with me because the people that heavily disagree with me generally don't want to talk. Like I think that's just like the nature of doing like political content online in general.
Well, I'm saying I think you're contributing. I know that there's a narrative that people who disagree with me don't want to talk to me, but I think this is part of why that's happening.
Okay.
Because if you do disagree with you in a certain way or a certain number of times, you're going to face a dog pile.
Yeah, I mean that can happen, but I mean like that I mean like there in some ways it's controllable, but in other ways it's like kind of uncontrollable. Like it just depends on what's going on.
Okay, well, I have some suggestions on what I think you could do to protect your orbiters, but you're saying I need to protect my orbiters.
Well, now you're not talking to orbiters. Now you're talking to anybody that I can have like conversation with. So, like for instance, I made like 3-day
orbiters potential. I'm talking about hypothetical.
Well, like so I have like a 3-day circle jerk rule. So like I don't want people posting threads for like people days and days, or people like posting successes. Like just stop. This is like cringe. So like that's a rule that I've had. I don't know when I started that, but it was in response to people who were like shitting on some people. It's too much. It's like this is too much. But like
sure.
There's also going to be people that. So here's the issue: when I talk to people that I massively disagree with, that I have huge disagreements with, chances are my sub is going to have huge disagreements with them as well. So I mean, like they're. I mean, like I can tell people to be nicer, but like if I argue with theoretically, if me and Lauren Southern argue about immigration and her hypocrisy related to like immigrating to Australia was a big one that Peace Corps argued about, my sub is probably going to shit on her. Like. But I mean, like, I could tell people to be nicer, but there's still gonna be a ton of people saying like she's a hypocrite.
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting you tell people to be nicer.
Okay, what do we? Okay, go ahead then. Sorry, I don't know what we're suggesting.
Imagine if you have a debate with Lauren Southern about immigration, and then you ban anyone who agrees with her, and then you ban her.
It would depend on what her and her fans were posting, though. Like I've kind of done that.
Read the Castle Heart to level 2 and interact with it.
About some things, then it's okayish, but sometimes it's just like literal sycophants that just show up and like engage in shit that I don't want on my server. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I wouldn't ban every single person who would defend Fuentes or whatever.
Well, yes, only every single person who bans me. I mean, who defends me.
Well, that's only after the war declaration and everything. But like,
that's fine. I know. I understand. I gave you the ammunition needed to justify this, but I still think it's wrong. And I still think
you're making it sound incredibly arbitrary. Like there were already issues popping up beforehand with like the sycophantic like defense stuff that I think was like irritating, probably both me and Forethought.
Defining it as sycophantic defense is already smuggling in the premise that you're right and I'm wrong, which is
well, isn't that kind of what you've done with my fans? And I feel like the way that you conduct yourself and myself is kind of pretty similar in terms of like the type of defense that I see, in terms of like.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
How what I've done with your fan?
Like the way that you represent, like if I fully prepared to be calling this I'm wrong, but I think if you go through my posts in Vosh's subreddit, I think my posts are pretty good. My comments, usually when I'm responding to people, I'm generally pretty polite. I'm generally like, these are the facts, this is what I feel, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like when I saw your posts, sometimes in my subreddit, it was literally like, you guys aren't smart enough to understand this. You don't get this like my fans get this. You just don't understand this particular thing. Like those kinds of defenses, and then the people that see that and then make similar defenses are going to like, it's going to breed a certain style of conversation where it's like, I just don't want to see it.
Okay. Saying people are too stupid to understand your arguments is something that you do a lot.
On my stream, but if I went into I think I've had this exact conversation before. If I went into Vosh's subreddit and I started saying that, I would fully expect to get banned. Like when I post in my subreddit, I'm an actual.
Vosh is your bar.
Hold on. If I've been posting in my subreddit, I'm a feral monster, and I fully acknowledge that. I'm like, because it's my subreddit. But if I'm posting in other people's subreddits, like, okay, well, I'm like a guest here, and I'll post it in a way that I wouldn't want to get banned if somebody else was posting my subreddit. That's generally how I function.
Okay, so yeah, I know that's how you function. That's the thing I'm complaining about.
Okay.
That I have to be polite and nice, and you get to tear into me in front of all these people.
Well, I don't think I've ever posted on the subreddit like tearing into you before. Like anything I say is generally done on stream.
You kind of have. You've made some comments. We had a tense comment exchange where you said, maybe if you're getting this feedback after these conversations, then you're the one with a problem.
What was it in reference to?
some conversation I had that you thought I didn't have right. People were arguing about it, and somebody said, somebody quoted Shaylin's twit longer and said, "It's not true that you can't ask Max to be nice." And then you made fun of that person, and by implication, Shaylin.
I think I would make fun if I remember correctly. Yeah, I probably would. I probably did.
Okay, so I'm just saying it's not true that it's all on stream. You have.
Okay, there are some comments that I do make on my side, but it's pretty rare. It's generally not. I'm generally just talking on stream.
Okay.
Like I think at this point, I actually think you've probably posted my subreddit more than I have. I think you've posted like almost, somebody said some 700 comments on my subreddit. I don't think I posted that much on my subreddit.
Yeah.
But okay.
There's a lot of dogpiles happening, so.
I've been dogpiled on my subreddit way more than you have.
Yeah, but it's different when it's.
Sure. Okay. I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I feel like we're getting a little lost in the weeds here.
Yeah. Go for it.
The last point of contention was, I think, I can imagine a more interesting stream where people who have genuine disagreements with you, and I'm not saying there are none, but I'm saying that your orbit, I think, is mostly, there's a trend of people just kind of soft disagreeing, fake surface level disagreements, drenched in sycophantic dick licking. And I think that does hurt your stream.
Okay, it's possible, but I don't know if like changing the subreddit moderation impacts that at all.
Well, I haven't slept a full night in like 2 weeks. And a lot of that is because of your subreddit. Just endless, I mean, like, man, you ban some criticism that you just don't like in your own subreddit because of how it makes you feel. Imagine how it would make you feel if you and anyone who agreed with you was banned from responding. And at the time, you are the main topic of the subreddit. It's a really terrible feeling watching your this story.
I mean,
about you.
Yeah, obviously I understand what this feels like, right? You certainly understand. I know what this feels like. I've had plenty of subreddits do this to me before. Yeah.
Okay. But it feels worse when it's your friend, and not just friend, but like professional. We have a professional relationship. Like, you're not just we work together, and this also impacts my work and my career. So
yeah, sure. But I don't know if I would ever I understand we have different ways of dealing with things, and that's totally fine. We can have totally fair to have different values and everything. But I don't think I would ever let my comfort zone extend into somebody else's community. Lauren's community has had pretty awful things to say about me at points. Fuentes' community is atrocious towards me. Vosh's community, even at our original separation point and coming back, has said horrible things about me. But like, even if I'm friends with these people, I can never imagine David. They're like, hey, you need to moderate your community differently because they're saying bad things about me. Like, that's what the community does. If I don't like it, I just wouldn't engage in that community. Like, I'll stop posting. If I feel like I want to argue, I'll go to those communities. I'll have some arguments. But yeah, I'm never telling another person like, you need to change your moderation style because that community is not suiting my needs when it's not my community.
Okay, so we can just back all the way out, and your objection is that I made a suggestion or demand about a subreddit that I do not own.
No, it's more specifically that it feels like you want a subreddit in particular to cater to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saying that asking you to not ban me and all my supporters is also the same as asking you to cater to me?
In a sense, yeah. It depends on why the supporters were banned, though, of course, right?
I don't know. I think if they break your TOS, then sure, like, ban them. I'm not saying you shouldn't ban anyone who's a supporter of mine, but at this point, you're banning people just for being supporters of mine. So it's hard to think of a quality that all supporters of mine would have that would break the terms of your subreddit, unless being a supporter of mine is not allowed, which is the case.
Or I could just feel like there's a certain type of like culture or community brewing that looks to be like really detrimental to my own, and I want to like curb that. Yeah.
Right. That seems to be the case. So if you think it's overstepping, period, to ask you. I just don't know why we're switching to the word cater to. I think we should just say, I'm asking you to not ban me and all my supporters. I feel like
you're asking me to make a moderation decision that's in your best interest. Now, originally we approached this.
I don't think
I know what you're saying. Now you're saying, but that's a different argument. But like, yeah, if you want to say like, well, it's not in my best interest, it's in your best interest too. That's one thing. But if it was in my best interest,
I would be asking.
It would just be a conversation about like, oh, well, it's not that I'm like upset or anything. I think your sub would be better for everybody. But obviously, you're not coming here to like, I'm trying to increase the power of your brand, and here's my suggestion. I'm super irritated that this particular thing is happening, and this is what I hope you do to remedy my irritation. Is what the conversation essentially is, right?
That's part of it. I think on some level, I feel like I'm trying to save you from yourself, but.
Well, I mean, no offense, but I've been here for 12 years. I don't need to save it for myself. I'm probably going to be here for, hopefully longer. We'll see. But I mean, like, I think that it's generally coming from like a place of like, I'm getting fucked in this community and I want to unfuck myself in this community. And now I'm going to
that is what I'm saying. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
I also genuinely want to save you from yourself.
Okay, fine. But then even before like the declaration of war and everything, like you were of the mind that you wanted explicit changes in the moderation of the community because you felt like
again, I don't know why we're abstracting this to explicit changes or a moderation decision. I think I've been pretty clear. I think that you should not impulse ban people, and I think that should be like enshrined into some sort of agreement with your audience. And I think that Forethought, or the way Forethought is operating, should either change or he should be fired because he is just banning people for agreeing with me, even about shit that has nothing to do with you. So it just feels a little dishonest to abstract that into you're asking me to make a moderating decision in your favor. Like if you banned all Jews from your subreddit, that would be also, I would probably complain about it. It would be technically me asking you to make a moderating decision in my favor, but it's not really, you wouldn't really frame it like that.
Well, it depends on if Jews were having like a horribly negative impact on my sub. If we started posting, like if a Palestinian issue popped up and it was starting to get unbelievably insane, and every other poster was like, I'm a Zionist and this is why, we're going to fucking nuke the Palestinians, fuck all of them. At some point I might just be like, fuck it. Like, okay, I'm just banning all these people. Now, obviously, that wouldn't be okay.
So when you say banning all these
when
you say banning all these people, you mean banning all the people who are posting that, or you're saying if there was someone else who said I'm Jewish in a different conversation about a different topic, you would also ban that person?
I don't know if I would do it in a different topic. It would depend on how far things had escalated.
So there is a point at which you would say, okay, we just have to ban all the Jewish people from the subreddit.
I probably wouldn't do it with Jewish people because that's like an immutable trait. It's a little bit different than explicitly being the fan of a particular person, but.
Okay, so then we can go back to my hypothetical in which if you did ban all Jewish people, I would probably complain about it, and it would technically be me advocating for something in my favor because I would get banned along with them. But I don't think you would make the counter argument. You just can't make moderating suggestions. If I think you're doing something unethical,
well, I wouldn't make the argument there because I wouldn't make the argument there because you're intuition pumping something else. It's way different here, and that's that the unethical thing isn't the mistreatment of you and your fans. It's the mistreatment of Jewish people. So when you're making the comparison, like, well, would you ban all black people? And if I were to suggest that you stop, would that be me advocating for myself and making a moderation request?
Okay.
Well, yeah, but like you're kind of pumping in this other idea of like, well, you're doing something that's obviously wrong, right?
So now you bring us to, you should be able to do whatever you want to me in your subreddit, no matter what. If you do, there's no rule or command or direction or anything you could post about me or anything anyone could post about me where it would be appropriate for me to ask you to make a moderating decision that protects me. It is just inappropriate for me to ask for any protection from your subreddit, regardless of the circumstances or what's happening. I'm overstepping.
You can ask for anything. I think that's fine. There's no reason.
It would be inappropriate for me to demand it.
Yeah, the demand is be like, well, at some point it's we're going to disagree, and then
Okay, so if you started like photoshopping like nudes of me like getting fucked in the ass by dogs, and this was just like a super popular thing on your subreddit, everybody was doing it. And it got so popular that when people search Mr. Girl or Max Carson, the first thing that comes up is just photorealistic, perfect shots of me getting fucked by dogs. You're saying that for me to say like, hey, I think maybe you should make like a rule against revenge porn, or like some kind of rule against like, dog photoshops or something. You at that point you would say, well, you can ask, but for you to demand this is overstepping.
this is hard because like it's implying that I'm doing something that's like directly shitting on you while like trying to while I'd still be receptive to like feedback. But I mean, I guess I would say that like no, if that's like the memes or that's the way that my community rolls, I mean like at some point you'd have to decide like, okay, well I don't think I can be associated with your community if that's how you guys run things. And then I'd have to say, oh, okay, well I guess that's how it goes.
Sure, but that's not the question I'm asking you. The question I'm asking you is you've rug pulled this entire conversation because you are now implying that to forcefully ask or demand a friend or colleague to change how they moderate their subreddit, regardless of anything else, is in itself overstepping in an attempt to like take over the subreddit. So
I don't know. It's hard. I don't know if I'd say it's necessarily overstepping or something. Like you can always make a request. There's nothing wrong about making a request.
Yeah, but we're talking about a boundary, like a forceful.
Yeah, that can even be a boundary. But at some point, like but I mean, like I wouldn't. I don't know if I would ever acquiesce to somebody else's request for me to change my moderation style. I don't know if I would do that.
Maybe you wouldn't, but that's different. That's a different question from framing it as overstepping or controlling somehow for me to make those requests. So I just want to get you clear on record. Are you saying that it is always overstepping to say, like you keep saying, like, why would I change my moderation style to benefit you? Like, well, because I'm your friend and I work with you, asshole. That's why. Like you can say like, I don't think this merits that, but like I think of the dog example, you probably would change it.
Yeah, for sure, because that doesn't seem like it benefits my community anyway, and I don't know why I would need pictures of you.
But you wouldn't change it for me.
No, I would change it because it's clearly like with my community. Yeah, I always prioritize.
What if it did benefit your community? What if it was really funny? Your community started growing. You were making more money. What if you started making like tons of money, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars per month?
It's really hard because the example is so unrealistic. But in this case, I would say, yeah, then we keep it. That's just how this community is ran. Yeah.
Okay, so the way your community is ran is that no matter the negative, detrimental effects it has on the mental health of your orbiters or people who work with you, no matter how humiliated or hurt they are by your community, you will not even consider a uniform change to your moderation style that would protect your orbiters from you or your community?
I think it's going to depend on the reasons why it's happening and then how that plays out. But those are two things that could augment. So, for instance, if I had a debate with some girl and she made a lot of dumb points, or this is kind of what we're doing right now, and everybody would just start like posting like, oh my God, what a whore, go open OnlyFans, what a stupid cunt. I'd probably start banning those because that's not good criticism or valid criticism.
Okay, wait. Yeah, I know you can come up with an example, but you're framing this as it is. You will never capitulate to a demand about your moderation
almost
style.
Never.
So again, I'm giving you almost never.
Yeah,
but you might. Okay, so
I'm saying I would, but it's going to be merit based. It's not going to be because like a friend asked me.
I'm not asking you to do it because a friend asked you. I'm trying to present a case to you.
Okay, what was the case?
And I'm asking you to view the merits of the case and make a decision on your own. But
okay, wait. What were the merits of the case? We can talk about that. What are the merits of the case? I guess.
Well, I would like to before we could do that. You've rug pulled the conversation because you keep saying.
What if I? Okay, we can go back to the beginning if you want. Or, sorry, go ahead, finish.
Okay, the premise of the conversation is that I have a problem with your moderation, and I'm telling you that I think it needs to change in order to protect the mental health of your orbiters and their careers, and your professional relationships with these people, namely me. That is the premise. We started talking about it and kind of trying to agree on like a narrative of what's happening, but then after, I don't know, 30 minutes, you said, I would never change my moderation style to benefit someone else or to protect someone else.
Yeah. I should say for the sole purpose of, yeah. If there's other like compelling reasons or arguments, then sure I could. But
so if you're saying basically, no matter what you say, I'm not going to protect you.
Yeah.
No matter. Okay. Well, then I don't know if there's anything to talk about.
Okay.
Because like the merits of it don't matter because you're saying that the request in itself is already out of bounds.
Well, no, that's not true. Like I said, it depends on the merits of the request.
Or the demand.
It depends on like if it's like so like let's say there's a whole bunch of people like people are making.
So if all you're saying is I will not grant a meritless request, like I already knew that. That's why I'm arguing with. That's why I'm presenting my side to you because I assumed you would think of the merits and then take it in and take my feedback and think about it. But now you're saying that you will never do it unless it directly benefits you. You will never protect anyone else except you're just saying you're basically You're going to moderate selfishly. It's your community.
Well,
you don't
yeah,
care
like
what
earlier
that's
you were
anybody
like,
else.
oh, I will imagine you do this because I'm your friend. The answer is no. I don't do it because you're my friend. But if you've got like good arguments or good reasons why the moderation should change, then I would change it. Yeah.
My friend is me being your friend is one of the arguments.
Okay, I don't
It's not
consider
that
that to be an argument with merit. But if there are other arguments, and I could hear those.
Okay. I think it has merit because
well, it doesn't matter what you think. You're trying to convince me, unless you think you convince me why I should have merit.
I think that's what I'm doing.
Okay, go for it.
That's my plan in this sentence.
Okay.
I'm not saying I want you to give me a special pass or special treatment because I'm your friend. I'm saying because I'm your friend and presumably you care about me, seeing the detrimental effects of your moderation up close, and because our friendship is part of the content. It's not that we have a professional relationship separate from our friendship. The content is our friendship. So our friendship kind of falls under like what you're doing with your moderation, what you're doing with your stream. So because you're seeing this up close and because everyone is seeing it up close, you're putting this out into the world. I think I can make a moral appeal to you to say like you're kind of like psychologically harming me and care about that, and your caring is part of your content, then I'm not saying that's like a slam dunk case, but it seems like something you should take into account.
Well, it's always something I'll take into account, but
okay, so then it does matter that I'm your friend. Like I'm not saying, again, when I say it matters, I'm not saying like you should just
not
do
enough. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean that could be part of a thing, but like, yeah, we're gonna need.
Sure, but again, I'm not asking for special treatment because I'm your friend. I'm saying as your friend, I can tell you and show you up close in a way that other people might not be willing to because they're too sycophantic or that just don't have as intimate a relationship with you or not as willing to express their feelings to you or whatever. Tell you up close like that it's pretty bad. And yeah, I think that should be one thing you take.
Okay.
Okay, but it feels like I want to unpoison the well. For me, from my perspective, it feels poisoned by saying there's no request you'll grant for the benefit of your orbiters or no demand that you will hear because it benefits your orbiters, then like there's no point in discussing this. But if you're saying there's no meritless demand you'll capitulate to, well, like of course you won't. Like I'm not expecting you to do it just because I'm saying to.
Okay.
I think you should do it because it's like right.
Gotcha.
Well, does gotcha mean you retract your argument that it's not right to ever make a demand about someone else's moderation style?
Sure. If you think my earlier argument was that there was no possible argument that could ever be made by an external party to change my moderation, then sure, I'll retract that. If that's what you really thought I was saying, then I'll retract that.
That is what I think you were really saying, yeah.
Okay. Then I retract that. There are indeed arguments that can be made externally that would change the way that I would moderate my community.
Okay, so then we can dispense with any discussion about the appropriateness of making a demand and stick strictly to the merits of the demand itself.
Sure.
Okay. I've made my case for why I think it benefits you.
I don't think you made it very well, but unless you're implying that, like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I know you don't agree with it, but I think that's it. I think that a lot of your orbiter relationships are dull, and even the existing ones would probably become more interesting if people felt. Do you think that watching me get dogpiled ruthlessly, in hearing you basically just say you don't care, do you agree that is kind of happening? That I'm getting dogpiled ruthlessly, and you're kind of saying you don't care. You don't care enough to protect me.
Yeah, I'd say so, probably. I bet, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that has a chilling effect on, and other events like it, has a chilling effect on your orbiter's willingness to go against the grain?
It could have a chilling effect on some behavior, but I mean, the point of moderation, of course, is to have chilling effects on some behavior, right? You're trying to discourage some behavior.
Do you think it has a chilling effect on orbiter's willingness to go against the grain with you on stream?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think it does, but we may have to just agree to disagree there. I think the prospect of being thrown to the wolves is probably on people's mind, but we can move on.
I think if you're looking for some give here, like I do think that like excessively shitting on people is a bad thing to have in the sub for no matter who it is. But then like I've said before, like that's something that we've like tried explicitly to moderate with a couple different rules, because nobody likes it when there's like it's post after post after post of like shitting on a person, and it's a little bit insane. So I mean that happens.
I don't think that really works though. That gets to the good cop bad cop thing that I was talking about before, where you get to be the good guy who comes in and stops the dog pile, but you are setting the conditions up for the dog pile.
The conditions are always there in every single community. The conditions are always going to be there for a dog pile. You said it yourself that you accidentally set off a dog pile on Brittany in a community that wasn't even your own. I don't think you intended to. I don't even know how much you felt like that comment was a serious comment, but it did. So I mean, I think the conditions are always going to be there by virtue of who we are. Yeah.
But you created those conditions, and it happened in your community.
But the conditions are such that you have a large community. That's the only condition. And then dog piles are always possible in that context. It's just
okay. Are you saying that dog piles happen equally across large communities?
I didn't say dog piles happen equally. I said that the conditions for a dog pile to happen are basically just have a large community. Because you're implied that I created special conditions for like really bad dog piles happen, when the reality is any large community dog piles everything. That's just how it goes.
Okay, so you're not interested in the special conditions that I think that you're creating, because all large communities have the ability to dogpile, and therefore it's not worth talking about anything that you are doing that insidiously.
No, if you think there's a special thing I've done that's gone above and beyond creating dogpile, it's always worth discussing, of course.
I think there's a lot of things you're doing that create dogpile.
Okay, well, jump into them.
Well, one is by banning people who disagree with you or criticize you in a way that you don't like in high conflict times in a subreddit. That probably has a chilling effect on nonconformity.
It probably has a chilling thing in terms of criticisms, but I think that's one of my favorite forms of moderation. I think I've done exceedingly well in terms of that. Like, I look at the effects of that type of moderation, and I think for the most part it's gone pretty well.
Do you think that it has a chilling effect on nonconformity?
I think it has a chilling effect on certain types of nonconformity, which are the types I don't want in my community.
Do you agree that nonconformity is a key ingredient to inhibiting a dog pile? Or stopping a dog pile, or slowing a dog pile?
No. You could probably have spaces that have maximum conformity that don't dogpile. It's probably possible, like a church.
Do you think the conformity?
Sorry, good.
Okay, well that doesn't refute my claim. Do you think that conformity is a requirement for a dog pile?
No, I don't know if conformity. I mean, some types of conformity probably play into dog piles. Some types of non-conformity probably play into dog piles. But I don't think that if I was looking to stop or start dog piles, I don't think I would be like, we need to conform or not conform. I don't think that would be like a thing I would focus on.
So if you wanted to build a community that was a weapon that dogpiled people when you snapped your fingers, you don't think conformity would be a good asset?
I mean, not necessarily, but it could be. I guess conformity is like really broad and vague. I don't know what I mean by conformity, I guess.
Well, conformity in this case means people going along with what the group is doing. Even perhaps against their own morals or beliefs.
I understand what you're saying, but like at some point, like if we were going to have this conversation, I think we have to like start to iron out percentages, because we're talking about like everything here is like falling on like, you don't ban criticisms, you just ban certain criticisms that you don't like, and that's really vague. And you're not looking for maximum conformity or maximum disconformity, but you're looking for some amount of conformity to cause some types of dog piles to happen. Like at some point, I don't actually even know what we're talking about anymore, because like you could have been talking about like 5% here or 95% here or 5%. I'm not sure like where we're. Because there's like, yeah, I think so. We should back up and start doing this conversation again, and then we need to start like nailing down some percentages on how much we feel like these things are important about. Yeah.
Okay. I don't agree with that. I think that I'm trying to make a point, and you're trying to disintegrate the conversation, so I can't make.
I think the conversation right now is meaningless. Like, is some level of conformity required?
I think you have derailed the conversation.
Okay, I know you hate examples, but I'm going to give examples where I think you're wrong. I think that there are some places or some groups that can be very nonconformist that can conform due to some things. 9/11 in the United States is a great example. It's a hugely disparate country, lots of different opinions and ideas, and we all came together to dogpile Iraq and Afghanistan after that. Incredibly, huge amounts of disconformity throughout the entire country. So I don't think that conformity was required there. There are other places where you've got like maximum conformity.
Well, I disagree with that.
Okay, what's the disagreement?
Well, I think you're poisoning the well by.
I don't think anything I said was objectionable, but tell me what you think the disagreement is.
Do you agree that you're priming the audience to think that I am about to say something stupid and worthless?
I just want to know okay, I'm sorry for having an emotional response. I don't expect you to protect my emotions. My bad. Let me take it back. Okay. My statement was that in 9/11, you had a group of hugely nonconformist people, tons of different ideas, beliefs, ideologies, but an external threat motivated them to come together to work on something. So in that example, you didn't really need conformity. An external exogenous threat motivated them all to work together. That would be like one example of a...
okay.
Yeah.
So in an environment where there's a terrorist attack, a certain type of conformity is generated by that happening, and it also reveals a certain type of conformity. So you can have different layers of conformity where... I'm an atheist, you're a Christian, I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, whatever, we disagree about all these things. But there's certain things, like it's not like, North Korea or China where you're expected to, toe the line. But there actually is a certain degree to which you're expected to
okay, but then at this level, now
walk the party line in the United States. So when a terrorist attack happens, that brings out, it does bring out a certain conformity. Like, it would be very scary if you were the opinion of like, well, fuck, who cares? There's 3,000 people, who gives a shit? That would be very unpopular, and probably conformity played a part in people not expressing that at the time, whereas now people are a little more free about their opinions about 9/11, and they're a little more mixed.
Sure, but now it sounds like conformity is anything can be conformity. A community of people that aren't conforming at all of a sudden are conforming, so now it's conformity. I don't know now. I don't know what conformity even means now. I'm not sure.
Well, conformity, I'll remind you. Conformity means the willingness of people to go along with the crowd, even against their own beliefs and values. That's conformity.
Okay. Gotcha.
A pressure to go along with the crowd.
Okay.
So on certain topics, there is conformity. On certain topics, there isn't. So like pedophilia, for example. You'll see people who disagree with a lot of stuff. Suddenly, they all start saying and doing the same thing, not necessarily because they believe it or feel it, but because they have to. So anyway, I don't really think the 9/11 example is a good counterexample. However, I do agree there are certain situations where everybody can be doing and saying the same thing, and it is not because of conformity. I just don't think the 9/11 example is one. But that still doesn't really address what I'm saying. I'm not saying that conformity is... I guess I think a dog pile necessarily includes some element of conformity.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll just agree with you.
Well, when you say I'll just agree with you, it sounds like you're saying you don't agree with me, but you're rolling your eyes.
I don't know if I would, but I kind of want to move on to the next part of the conversation. I don't know if we're like agreeing or disagreeing on what conformity means, but I don't want to get like hung up on.
Well, the reason we're on this side tangent is because you wouldn't bite the bullet that conformity increases dogpiling behavior. And so now we've been talking about what conformity is for 10 minutes for no reason.
Well, I mean, it's just because I think that conformity is going to be a proxy for something else. Like, what if in Max's community, what if our ideals were that we do not dogpile on people? In that case, maximum conformity to your rule set would decrease dogpiling. That's why I don't think...
That's true.
So I just don't like the conformity thing. There are types of conformities that could probably lead to dogpiling, and there are types of conformities that could probably lead to less dogpiling. It just depends on what's being talked about. Yeah.
All right, so I think we should stop arguing. I think if you want to hear me out about what the effect of... certainly how I think that you are increasing conformity, chilling nonconformity, and how this hurts the mental health and careers of the people who work with you and your friends, then I can lay that out for you. If
go for it.
in
Just
order
lay it
to
all out.
do
Yeah,
that-
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I believe that conformity increases dogpiling behavior. So you can have a dogpile where everybody in the group happens to actually agree that the person is horrible. And then you start slipping away from that when you add the upvote system, because everybody in the group has two reasons to say things now. They're saying things because they believe it, but they're also saying things just because they want the points. They want the attention. There's a flood of enjoyment when you get like 500 upvotes on a post. I think we can all relate to that. That increases dogpiling behavior. And then in turn increases conformity. Then when you start adding other pressures to increase conformity, like banning people who go against the grain, and the grain is usually in your favor along with you, so banning people who go against you in certain ways are too hard, but not banning people who go against me in certain ways or go too hard. This systematically creates more and more conformity. You then increase conformity further with the unban process. So you overban impulsively or otherwise, you ban too many people, and then you're very lenient about letting them back in, but then your community now becomes, all the people who don't want to put up with that are filtered out. So again, increasing conformity, people who are willing to jump through hoops, and people who are willing to have their speech suppressed, people who are willing to make alternate accounts to rejoin a community that doesn't even want them there in the first place, so they can pretend to be somebody else. All of these things increase conformity. Then you start chilling non-conformity and say anybody who goes against the grain too much could be, not will be, but could be banned. I believe that this is just one of the elements I was thinking of when I said that you set people up for dogpiles. That when you're saying the really harsh things you say about people and painting the pictures of people that you do, that combined with a hive mind, it's not a real hive mind, but the appearance of one, or a cultish atmosphere of high conformity, I think that increases dogpile, and it increases the viciousness of dogpiles too.
Okay, it's possible, but
Okay.
I mean, I guess I want to encourage some level of conformity around certain thoughts or ideas that I have. So I don't necessarily see this as a negative. I would have to see it playing out in ways where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I really like this, so we're going to change this particular behavior. So one example might be that I'm trying to cut down on misogyny. So I'm personally trying not to make any jokes about it, and then I'm trying to ban people in the sub or moderate people in the sub that are making too many jokes about it. So that would be like an example of, oh, well, here's something that's happening in a way that I don't like it happening, so we're going to change this particular thing, or try to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The moderating away from misogyny, I don't think I would do it, but I think it makes sense. And
wait, why would you
doesn't seem
not
like
do it? What does that mean?
I think.
So that you don't feel ambushed, I'm going to ask you, like, because it feels like all the chilling effects, I mean, you just talked about, I would say would apply to women, and that's why I'm moderating away from it. But it sounds like you're going to say you shouldn't. So I'm just curious what your argument's going to be there. But that's what I'm going to say next, so you know I'm not trying to trap you.
My goal with misogyny is to try to own it rather than hide it. I would be worried about suppressing expressions of misogyny because it sends a message of like, look, we all know we fucking hate women. It's not going to talk about it, all right? I would be concerned about that. I'm not saying that that's like the literal truth or that's the only way to look at it. I think also my community is smaller than yours and probably is more on the same like wavelength as me in terms of how I'm thinking about this, because they all just like 90% of my community just got banned from your community for defending me. So this may change as like I grow, but no, I don't think my community will ever. I think we would rather just get banned from Reddit than ban misogyny. But my approach to addressing that kind of hate would be more for me to be vulnerable about my own. Like I would start interviewing. Like if my community dogpiled a woman, and I wanted to stop misogyny, I would interview her about it. I would say, well, how do these posts make you feel? Let's go through this. How did this affect you? And then I would post that video in my subreddit. So I would try to change the course of how people are talking about it without banning the topic. But I agree with you that banning misogyny from your subreddit is not going to increase dogpiling behavior, even though it is pushing for conformity around a certain topic.
Okay.
It could increase a dogpile against someone the community then later perceives as misogynistic, but I don't have an issue with your ban on misogyny.
Gotcha.
I think my issue is around moderating decisions focused on people rather than ideas. So banning me and banning fans of me just for being fans of me definitely feels like it's setting the stage further for a dogpile beyond the other factors I've already talked about.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
What, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't know if you expect me to want to say something about that.
I expect nothing.
Okay. Well, it's going to go back to the kind of what we just said, is that like I just need to feel like the moderation style is in my best interest. Otherwise, I'm just not going to yield much, I don't think.
Okay. Well, all empathy and care about other people is ultimately self-interest. At the end of the day.
Yeah, but that can be really roundabout gotten to sometimes. Just depends on.
Yeah. So, is it in your best interest to create an environment that is intolerable to me and that hurts me?
It depends on what tolerating you looks like. If that includes like some level of what I would consider like detrimental anti-jerking in my community, then I say, well, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like that's where we're heading.
I mean, maybe
not to draw the conclusion for you, but it seems like that's the way you're leaning, especially since I've been banned for a week or so now.
Well, that's because everything keeps going on. The temperature hasn't cooled off at all. Because if I unban and then everybody comes back and immediately starts shitting on everything again, then it's like, okay, well, fuck. Now nobody's gonna want. Now it's gonna be even worse, and it's like there's never everything is fucked at that point. I'm just kind of like waiting for things to chill. But this has been like a hot topic news item for like over a week now, I think.
Well, I can't chill.
Okay, that's probably not good. Because it reinforces in everybody's mind like, oh, well, this is the reason why they were banned, and it was probably good that we did it.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you unban me, I'm going to write an essay about what fucking assholes you guys all are. 100%. It's going to be the best thing I've ever written.
Okay, that just makes it sound like... But then everybody's going to be like, okay, well, this was a mistake, and now you're back to square zero.
Yeah, okay, so maybe it's a sunk... do you regret banning me?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, technically Forethought did it, but I'm not sure now. After seeing how everything is played out, now it's like, holy fuck, maybe something needed to happen. I don't know.
Okay, well, this is evidence of what I'm saying when I say I don't think it's intentional. I don't think you're plotting or scheming against me. I just think that these things are happening systemically. I think the nature of your content is shitting on people. Often, you watch things, react to people, mock people, attack people. That's just like kind of part of what you do. And so, your community is obviously going to mimic you shitting on people, and I think that also increases.
Yeah, to some extent. That's why I've tried to like chill a bit over long periods of time, because
well, I'm a very delicate, sensitive person, and I make content and talk about things in ways that are really easy to misunderstand and really easy to dogpile, and I really hate being dogpiled. I think part of what made me form such a strong emotional attachment to you was your willingness to see through that you actually lifted me out of a dog pile, a way bigger dog pile, in a way worse dog pile. I was buried, and you pulled me out, and I will be forever grateful to you for that. But it is upsetting to have that, and then hear tales of Vosh and Hassan and other people, and people see whispers of people saying, "Oh, we'll see when the bridge burns. We'll see when you turn into the bad guy. You'll see what's going to happen. You'll see what's going to happen." And me saying, "Well, no, it's not going to happen," and then slowly see the lava around me rising, and slowly understanding, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is true, but so here's something that's interesting to me. Your hated foe Brittany said this, and it's something that I've thought about a lot. I don't understand why people are so keen to give up so much agency over themselves. Like, it feels like right now you're screaming at me, begging me to pull you out of the water, and you're drowning in a puddle that's 1 foot deep. You're like rolling around in it, like, help me, and then you're throwing your face back down, and it's like, please just pick me up. And I'm like, just chill for like 3 days and it'll all go away. Like, so much of it is like self-invited, like just chill. And it's like, and most of it will clear out. It even almost kind of sort of was, because I think even after you declared war, you had your no jumper thing. And I think there was like a 500 comment thread. It was like overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
It was like, just, yeah, like one more interview or funny interaction like that. And almost after that. And then everybody would have probably been like, oh yeah, everything's chill. Then the subreddit would have been like, why is Max still banned? It's actually really lame that like that would be the whole subreddit. Like, it's kind of cringe that you guys banned. I'm like, why do you blah, 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 blah. That would have been the whole sub. And then if I would have started banning people at that point, my sub would have revolted. They'd be like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. But when you guys keep upping the ante over and over and over and over again, especially with everything that's gone in the past 2 or 3 or 4 days. That's why you said, like, do you regret banning me? Now my community is like in unison, is like, no, these people are fucking horrible, blah, blah, because of like, and I understand how when you guys, when the pressure is upped, you guys are motivated to act in a certain way. But it's like, people just like chill, then it's like, boom, then you're like, good, everything would go away and everything would be, like, people have done this before. You just chill and it's like, oh, okay, cool, and everything's fine, and you're done.
I think that you're asking me to be resigned to the extreme highs and extreme lows, roller coaster, addictive nature of your community.
Yes, I am, because I am resigned to the exact same ebb and flow of my community and external communities. That's just always how it goes. I literally joke about my stuff. There are times when there are things that I do, and I'm like, you know what? Taking a 2-day break from the sub because it's gonna be brutal. I'm gonna be talking about NFTs all fucking 2 days, and there's gonna be some combo they hit it, and that happens. Sometimes I just fuck it. I just disconnect from my sub. I don't check it for a day or two. I'm like, fuck it. I know they're gonna be this way, and then you just But then you have a funny debate. You do a funny thing, and then you're like, oh, cool, he's cool again. And then that's always like the ebb and flow of large communities. It is what it is. There's no escaping that ever. I don't think there's any controlling that flow.
Well, I don't think that's true, or else you wouldn't be banning all of my fans and banning me. You're banning me to control the flow.
Not the flow, just certain types of things. There's things like the ebb and flow is always going to be there, but there's types of persistent toxicities that you can moderate against.
You're banning me to change the atmosphere.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you can have a little bit.
Changes. Okay,
but I'm not. But your implications are always.
I feel like it's a little disingenuous to have your finger on the button and then say like, oh, it's just the weather, when it's not just the weather. You are trying to control the weather.
It's just the weather.
I'm now universally hated on your sub. You banned me, banned all my fans, told everybody that I'm gaslighting, narcissistic, whatever, and now that's what they think. I've been rewritten. That's who I am now.
But it's not though. None of these things are permanent. These things can like come.
I know it's not. Oh, I know it's not permanent. I know.
But you're making it permanent. You are making it permanent.
Yeah, because I don't want to do it anymore.
But like,
I don't want to do it.
Here's what
I can handle the natural, inevitable ebb and flow, but you making it worse. No, you making it worse for me to make it better for yourself in the moment. No, I don't want to do that. You should have to ride it the same fucking way I do, or else I don't want to be part of the community.
I don't have to ride it the same way because it's my community. Much the same that you have the right to moderate your community how you want.
If you want me to be in it, you do.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it's not.
But then we're back at the thing that you said wasn't happening.
Sustainable.
Sure, but then we're back at the thing that we said at the very beginning, which is you explicitly said this isn't you just making one argument about yourself; it's the merits of the argument. But now we're back at what I said. I thought it was in the beginning, which is like you have to do this, or like I'm not going to be okay with it. So it sounds like that is the. what's on the table.
Well, that's one of my arguments is that certain of your orbiters can't tolerate the way that they're treated.
Yeah, and for those people, I would say don't. Just don't.
Okay. Well, if that's how it is, then I won't. Yeah, maybe one day we can do like a movie review, or if I have a panel, I'll invite you on. But like the like, am I gonna come on to talk about my fight with Shaylin and whether or not I'm abusive? These like, I'm very vulnerable with you. I'm very vulnerable with your stream. I've exposed a lot and opened myself up to a lot of criticism in ways that, like, I think that's one of the things you like about me, is that I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, but when you're willing to take positions like that, I think you have to be willing to like deal with, like, I take very edgy positions on some things as well, and I know that it's going to invite certain like blowback, and it is what it is.
And I can deal with that, but what I can't deal with is you, my friend, colleague. I said in some ways my boss. I don't think that's as true for me anymore. But you know, you're the one with the more power, certainly in your community, but I think also in our professional relationship for sure. With you making it worse on me to make it better for yourself. That's what I can't deal with. I can deal with the dog pile, but I can't deal with you encouraging it.
Okay. So then we do agree then that what I said at the beginning was that this is about you making a particular demand just on the merits of you wanting to feel better about the moderation. That's what this was,
I think,
always about.
I don't think it's about one thing or the other. That is one of my arguments, is that I think more sensitive people who are more vulnerable are not going to want to put up with this. I also think that people who want to push back on you against more things and who disagree with you and argue with you about more stuff, or maybe people who are more egotistical and also are just not going to want to put up with it. People don't. So only.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think I'm not going to want to change my community to acquiesce to those personality types.
You don't have to. I'm just pushing back against your characterization that my only point in argument here has just been that I don't like what you're doing. That's one of them.
Well, but it is. You're saying there are some people that are too egotistical to deal with your moderation style. I don't think that's a compelling.
One of them.
But that's not a compelling argument for me to change my moderation style.
Okay, I think it is. I don't think it is on its own, but I think it's worth considering the types of people who you're going to push away, including me, and the types of people.
Okay, so then I know you didn't want to do this before, but this would be a really good spot to like, okay, give me some examples, because there are certain types of people. It's like, fuck, I can't believe I lost this person in my community because this happened, or I can't believe that I lost this person in my community, this happened. Like, if that was happening over and over again, I'd be like, okay, this probably needs to change. So like, two things that I think needed to change are, there is a lot of dogpile on my subreddit, and that's something I tried. We did that with the 3-day rule. No more posting for weeks about people. I might even cut that back even more, because like the posting incessantly is like really annoying. No more of the Coomer posting. A lot of women don't like. A long time ago, it's funny because somebody brought this up recently on my subreddit, that harem is bad or blah blah blah. I actually banned all references of harem anything, because that type of humor and these types of jokes made it so women never wanted to come on stream. That's one of the reasons why the misogyny ban is in effect. I have women that I would like to come on stream and talk, but they're like, I don't know, like there's some stuff that goes on, it's a little bit weird. It's like, okay, I understand that, but then I want to change my community. So if you can demonstrate, like, oh, well, here's people that you've lost, and the examples you pointed out are ones that you're not fully aware of. So you point out like Hassan and Vosh that had nothing to do with this. But if there were like people that I've lost, I was like, oh fuck, I could keep these people around. Then I would probably. Then there are things that I'd probably reconsider.
You don't
say. Okay, go ahead.
You don't think.
It sounded like you were about to say, "You're gonna lose me." That's what I thought you were gonna say. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I think I know you're being funny, but you're also just making fun of me for being upset.
Just curious what your answer will be. Go ahead. Oh, X Skills Me was another example. Sorry, go ahead.
You don't think facing vitriol from your community had anything to do with your falling out with Vosh or Hassan?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I think that you got the cause and effect wrong. Most of my community there was actually against me. And then I made a choice that I was like, I don't think I want communists and socialists in my community. And then I said, if you're a communist socialist, like fucking leave. And then I axed out all the like commies and socialists from my community. But it wasn't because I didn't get upset at like Hassan and Vosh because like or they didn't get mad at me because my community was like vitriolic towards them. They might say that because they're like, if they pick out like any Hassan might say that. Vosh, I don't think would. Hassan might say that, but like when Hassan was posting in my subreddit, I'm pretty sure he was generally getting a lot of support almost all the time, except for like one or two particular things. He was almost always getting a lot of support.
Me too.
Well, wait, then what? Hold on. Then where are we even at? I just lost the whole conversation.
You said that getting vitriol from your community has nothing to do with what the falling outs with Vosh and Hassan, and I'm saying it seems like it has to be a factor. If if like you and I are like questioning or renegotiating our professional relationship, I get a lot of support in your subreddit.
Okay, wait. Then what exactly? What even is the? What is your problem? Then hold on. I'm not actually even sure. Then, or I lost the whole conversation. I thought. So you're saying they get a lot of support in my community, but they still have a lot of vitriol they have to deal with.
Yeah, because you eventually ban all the supporters and then have a falling out with the creator. That's the same. That's the same thing you're doing right now. You're like, I don't want these people in my subreddit. Fuck off. And then it just feels like really bad to the person you're doing it to. And then
sure, okay, yeah, but it wasn't. They did. I'm just saying that these people didn't leave because the subreddit was vitriolic towards them.
Okay, I understand.
It's because I started to have disagreements with them. I haven't had any disagreements with you where it's like I need to kick Max because I super disagree with him.
You just feel like it.
Well, Forethought did.
And you felt like allowing him to.
Well, he is allowed to. He's my moderator. Yeah.
Okay. So you won't, even a week later, you won't own the ban.
I mean, I'll own it. Yeah, he's my moderator. He's like, he does what he does.
Okay,
I mean,
so can we just say that you ban me and stop talking about Forethought? I don't hate Forethought. He's just an
if that makes you
of.
Sure. If that makes you feel better, then yes, I banned you.
Forethought is a tentacle that's coming out of your body.
Gotcha. True.
It may have a mind of its own, but
maybe we don't even know.
Ultimately, you control it. Okay.